Well, I'm not going to say anything. It's all up to you. I refuse. I refuse to participate in this fiasco, this farce, this joke of an episode.
He's cute when he doesn't have a choice. Steel Watchers, the moment you have been waiting for.
No, you haven't. You know it. You haven't been.
They have been. You haven't been, but they have been. Our top 5 Remington Steele episodes of all time, because Lord knows we're not doing a top 5 season 5 episode. that just wouldn't work. So
well, I mean, you could make it work, but it wouldn't work well.
No, it would not work well. So for the entire series, send us your top 5s. Doesn't matter the season, even if it's season 5. We might question your sanity, but hey, you do you. Send them to us around the beginning of October-ish. That's kind of what we're shooting for in terms of when we record this, and we are recording this. Sorry, Eric, it's happening. And hey, maybe even like your favorite.
Over the head with a hammer.
Add in your favorite season as well, just in general. Tell us what your favorite season was and why, and we will have some fun with that. Eric will get drunk, and we will round off the entire series in a fun way. So,
in my defense, when we did the season 4 top 5, I was on pain medication, so that might have affected my ability to speak.
Sure, a likely story.
I was.
Anyway, send us your top 5.
Okay, which further enhanced my inability to speak.
Send them to the email. Eric, would you like to tell them what the email is?
SteeleWatching@yahoo.com. And
there we go.
Make some comments. If you just want to send your list, that's fine. But if you want to give us reasons why you chose these, both the episode and your top season, please do so. We will read as much of it as we can. I think we've proven that we don't. Although I have to admit, I missed a fan mail because it was buried. The notice for it was buried in my junk mail for Steele Watching, and we get all these emails. You wouldn't believe some of the emails we get. But yes, send it in to Steele Watching and label it top 5 of all time or something like that. Yeah. So we can spot it. So there you go.
Thank you. We look forward to it.
Kicking and screaming. Welcome, everybody, to Steele Watching, the podcast for Remington Steele fans. I am Eric, and what do you mean I'm going to live?
And I am Sara, and I'm on. It's a long weekend right now, so I'm not entirely sure I will live, but there's fireworks every single night.
Especially after the morning, it sounds like you had. So.
Oh well, yeah, like that, and like I said, the fireworks, because right now it's you guys don't have this holiday, but it's officially Victoria Day weekend, but unofficially we call it May 24 because it usually happens around the 24th of May, not always, and generally is celebrated with a 24-pack of beer, otherwise known as a 2-4. But there's fireworks usually, so there's been fireworks pretty much every night, and it's irritating. So
okay, well,
yeah,
that's your problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are season 4, episode 21, Steele Alive and Kicking. And before we get to that, we have an email.
Yay!
Yay! And it goes something like this. In fact, it goes exactly like this. Enjoying your episode on Sensitive Steele. With regard to the location filming of earlier episodes, I don't know whether they went to San Diego. I strongly suspect they did not, because when they did travel, they usually made an effort to show off the scenery on screen with the principals, and they don't do so in Steele Incorporated. Good point. While I would never miss a chance to shake my head at the corporate mentality, I do have to say, in fairness to MTM Productions, the extensive location shooting in Season 3 was partly necessitated by the 1984 Summer Olympics. I think we kind of briefly mentioned that.
Yeah, we did talk about that, yeah.
Between closures and crowding, filming in and around Los Angeles, something that took up about half of each Steele's episode schedule, was all but impossible in the weeks before and during the Olympics. The trips to France, Ireland, Malta, and possibly San Francisco were expensive for the studio, but they had to find alternatives to L.A. The trip to Las Vegas came much later in the season, and I think that was just an artistic decision separate from the Olympic needs. Now I need to stop writing and get back to sensitive Steele. So there we go.
Yay. And yeah, you know what? I think we did touch on it, but I had forgotten about it. So hearing that email reminds me of why they did that. And yeah, nice.
Well, do we have anything else to get to before we get to the episode?
I don't think so. I have a kind of a funny story with regards to this episode in terms of like the episode itself. So I mentioned before that when I first started watching the show, I caught it in season 5 in reruns. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, the station that it was on where I was, for some reason, they didn't play seasons 1 and 2. They only played seasons 3, 4, and 5. And then they would loop it a bunch of times. And I think possibly had to do something with, I know there's always rights issues, weird stuff like that. For whatever reason, for the longest time, I'd only seen seasons 3, 4, and 5. And then eventually they started playing it on a different channel and I caught seasons 1 and 2. And so at that point, like I was recording every episode. So I had sort of built up, and eventually by the time the DVDs came out, I thought I had every single episode on tape. I thought I had seen every single one. I was certain of it. And then I started watching through the DVDs when they came out, and I came to this episode, and I was like, what the heck is this? Where did this episode come from? For whatever reason, either I missed it every time they played it in the reruns, or they didn't play it for some, I don't know. I had never seen this episode, and this was like 2 years into me being like a really big fan of the show. And so like this was like it was almost like this weird bonus because you think you've seen everything, and then suddenly here's this episode that you missed. And so, I mean, I'm not going to say it's the greatest episode on the planet, but it has like a tiny little space in my heart being like the surprise episode that I didn't know was there until I got the DVDs. And I was like, oh, there's another one. Cool.
Well, if you've got, do you still have those videotapes?
Yeah, I do, but I don't have any way of converting them at the moment. So,
do you have the one that has Laura singing Satisfaction?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I've got that. Well, that's the thing. I keep meaning to dig them out because, like, the problem is they're not all in one tape. Like, I taped other stuff too, so like, you know, they're tapes with like Buffy, Supernatural. Like,
okay, fans,
everything.
Fans, you are directed to inundate Sara with emails reminding her to find that episode that has Stephanie/Laura singing Satisfaction and send that to Steve so that we can get at least that few seconds of audio clipped in, dropped into an episode, and then we'll have...
somewhere, I also have Steele on the Air where she's singing along to Girls Just Want to Have Fun and not whatever song that was in her car.
Well, then get on the stick, girl? Anyway, well, let's get into the episode anyway. I went with the DVD liner notes again. I've done that a few times here recently. Yes, look at me. I'm just being a wild man.
Wait. Before we do that, when did it first air?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. Somebody distracted me there. First aired on May 3rd, 1986, written by John Wirth and directed by Stan Lathan. So, DVD liner notes. Believing himself to be fatally ill, a man frames himself for murder so his wife can collect the reward money. But when he's unexpectedly cured, he heads to the Steele agency for help. And I mentioned at the close of the last episode that I thought this rang a bell, that I seemed to recall something like this happening in real life. And I still stand by that, but I couldn't find any evidence of it. Mm-hmm. I did, however, find a number of references to cases where people thought they were going to die and confessed to things that they had actually done, such as having affairs. Committing murders, multiple murders in some cases. And those did not end well.
No.
Because they didn't die. And
Well, I mean, if they committed multiple murders, they deserve to go to jail. But like the affairs thing is kind of funny because,
well, that didn't end well either.
No, that wouldn't end well. I mean, it made me think of Breaking Bad, right? Because you've got this show.
Whatever. I don't know.
Breaking Bad is a show with Bryan Cranston, and he plays a chemistry teacher who finds out he has terminal cancer. And for whatever reason, his life insurance won't kick in or something like that. So his wife and his child are going to be pretty much destitute once he dies. And he can't even get treatment for it because his insurance
Medical
or whatever
insurance
doesn't
won't
cover it.
cover it,
So he basically runs into this former student of his who's cooking meth in a van, like in a van out in the desert. And because he's a chemistry teacher, he basically partners up with this kid to cook meth and sell meth so that he can get his cancer treatments and like provide for his wife and his child once he's dead. But then midway through the show, he recovers. So now he's become like this meth kingpin. And he's like, so it's not a comedy. It's very much a serious drama, but it kind of made me think of this episode when I rewatched it, because he started down this path, and by the time he does find out that he's in remission, he can't really correct
Back
course
out of it,
at this
yeah.
point. He's kind of like, yeah. So
Before we get started, I got a question for you. What are your thoughts on Vinny? I have some definite thoughts. I'm just curious what yours are.
he's just this goofy little doofus who I just think is really like a little cinnamon roll. He's not too bright, and you just want to pat him on the head and give him a cookie.
He reminds me of Bing.
Yeah,
Correct,
well,
not Crosby.
Bing, if Bing wasn't the most irritating person on the planet, yes.
Exactly.
100%.
Yes. Less obnoxious. But yes, very much reminds me of Bing Perrette. Yes. So
Yeah, Bing without the obnoxiousness. What Bing could have been, yes.
that's right. Had Bing been a
Bing bada
better
boom.
person. Had Bing been a better person. Yes.
Try saying that 5 times fast.
Try saying it one time.
You're right.
Oh, anyway, let's get into the episode. We start in a hospital operating room. A patient is on the table being operated on, and of course we see various shots of medical staff doing medical things and medical equipment doing equipment things and brain x-rays doing x-ray things and scans doing scan things.
He's not a doctor. He just plays one on TV.
That's right. That's how I can use all these technical terms. I know those things.
All the technical terms, yeah.
Well, now we move to a doctor's office. A doctor's at his desk looking through a medical file of records and x-rays as a man in a wheelchair and in a white patient gown with a large wrap of medical gauze taped around his head sits looking at the doctor. He wants to know the verdict. The doctor tells the man that the tests show no sign of the tumor whatsoever. No damaged tissue, no motor skills lost, no mental capacity cut back and disintegrated. And impatiently, the man tells the doctor to cut the mumbo jumbo. Well, the doctor tells the man that by all rights, he should be dead, or at the very least, brain damaged. The doctor begins to go into details, but the man interrupts, asking if the doctor means to tell him. Of course, he trails off. Proudly, the doctor tells the man, "That's right, Vinny, you're gonna live." The man yells, "What do you mean I'm gonna live?"
This is
He
probably the one
jumps
and
over-
only time that this poor doctor has had this reaction from a patient.
That's right.
You know?
Vinny jumps over the desk at the doctor. The doctor partially stands trying to stop him, but Vinny's momentum carries him straight into the doctor. They both end up on the floor. Vinny's hands are around the doctor's throat, attempting to strangle him, which actually doesn't look good for him later on when he tries to convince somebody that he didn't actually commit murder,
Right,
because he's just now trying to commit murder. Anyway, the struggle continues for another moment. Then Vinny gets to his feet with the doctor still on the floor and apparently unconscious. Just then there's a knock at the door. Vinny removes the receiver from the phone, rushes over to the side of the office door, receiver in hand, poised for action. A security guard rushes in, unaware that Vinny is behind the door as it opens. Vinny attacks the guard with the phone receiver, and the guard promptly falls down.
Yeah, of course, with the typical one hit, and they're completely unconscious, even though
That's right. I mean,
it's not even on the head. Yeah.
very cooperative,
I
yes.
have to say, too, I don't know that I agree with the doctor's diagnosis entirely, because he says that he has no diminished mental capacity. And given some of Vinny's actions in this episode, I'm going to say...
Well, now, wait a minute. You're presuming that Vinny was any better before the surgery.
That's true. That's true. It's just when he says cut the mumbo jumbo, I'm like, that's not mumbo jumbo. He was pretty clear. None of what he said was confusing. So I'm not sure.
Well, I get the feeling that Vinny never was the sharpest knife in the
yeah,
drawer.
fair enough.
And the doctor is probably right. There is no diminished mental capacity.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Vinny rushes over to one of the windows, raises the shade, and then opens the window to escape. But the window has bars over it. Well, no escape there. Vinny contemplates his predicament for a moment, then begins removing the wrappings from his head. He then pauses, focusing on the gun in the guard's holster.
So I can't remember. Do we see his hair in this shot? Because we see him when he breaks into Laura's place, and he has got a full head of hair. And if that man just had brain surgery, that would not be the case.
No, we don't see. We see the fringes underneath the wrap as he's trying to pull it off, but we don't see it fully removed. No.
Because I was
right.
confused when he breaks into Laura's place. I got to wonder how long it's been since he broke out, because they usually shave part or all of your head when you have brain surgery, and there's no bald spots. Anywhere.
I suppose it could be that
unless he's wearing
depending on the type of surgery, they cut the scalp open on three sides, flipped it back to get access. You would still expect to see some sort of visual evidence of that. But, I mean, if the doctor's really, really good, he might have been able to stitch it up so that it's minimally noticeable. I don't know. Hey, hand wave. You get to do it all the time. So can I.
Fine.
Next, we see some close-up shots of a gerbil running on a wheel in a habitat, two parrots in a cage, and a small turtle trying to escape a dish of water. Then we see Steele nose to nose with a small snake, which he's holding, and then drops back into a terrarium. Camera pulls back to reveal that we are in Laura's loft, and we see that there is also several goldfish in a bowl. We also see that Steele is in what appears to be a somewhat obnoxious pajama shirt, and that Laura is in a clown costume, which has got to be the most hideous outfit they have ever dressed her in.
Wow, I really like it. I really like it.
Wait, what? You can't be serious.
I love this outfit. I love the suspenders and the red, and they're matching again. I think he wore this shirt in Suburban Steel. I'm almost certain he had it on in that episode too. I think this is the second time he's worn that shirt. I'm certain of it. That outfit is new on her, but I like it. And I'm going to go on record with that. It's cute. I like it.
It is cute if you're working for Barnum and Bailey.
Oh, you're no fun. It's it's a fun. I even had, I think he's wearing the same shirt as he wore in Suburban Steel in my notes. And I think that's a hamster on a wheel. I don't think it's a gerbil.
Oh, well, I don't know small animals, but
I had a hamster and a mouse.
Okay.
Actually, I had two hamsters. One of them was named Choo Choo, and the other was named Shakespeare. You can guess which was the smarter hamster. But
well, my kids did guinea pigs.
Oh, they're so cute. I love the little noises they make and the little paws. Anyway,
my
those are a lot of pets for those kids. Like there's only 3 kids. They have a hamster, a snake, a turtle, several goldfish, and what am I missing?
Yeah.
There was something else too, wasn't there?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, that's still a lot of pets for 3 children.
That's a lot of pets, yeah.
And leaving them with Laura? Come on, Francis. Come on. I'm sorry, but that's not the brightest choice ever.
Well, in all fairness, it may not be that many pets because there's
2 birds too. They've got 2 birds in the cage, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
My wife and youngest daughter were really into the guinea pigs. My other kids, not so much, but wife and youngest daughter were, and at one point they had 8 or 10 pigs.
Holy cow.
They were doing some breeding. And it was funny. My youngest daughter, I think I've mentioned this before, she's barely 5 foot if she's standing in platform shoes, barely 100 pounds if she's soaking wet and just had a big meal. And she had this huge, one of the largest guinea pigs you might have ever seen. And here's a little girl carrying it around in a bag, pouch bag.
That's adorable.
And she took name was Teddy, took Teddy with her everywhere. I mean,
that's cute.
But yeah, they had a whole bunch of them. So
2 birds, a turtle, a snake, goldfish. Like, that's a lot of pets for 3 kids. And then
Yeah.
you just dump, like, you leave them with Laura again.
Yeah, that probably wasn't the best choice.
Uh,
Anyway, as the approaching the menagerie with a container of fish food in her hand, Laura comments that her sister wanted Laura to take care of the children's pets while they were on vacation. And Steele grunts and then disingenuously calls it a charming collection. Laura begins shaking flakes of fish food into the bowl, but rather than stopping when she has deposited an amount appropriate for the fish at hand, she continues to shake out the flakes until the whole top of the water is it's completely covered in flakes. And
those fish are going to literally explode. She's going to come back and it's just going to be fish guts floating in the bowl.
yeah, well, Laura comments that she hopes none of them dies because while she's caring for them, Francis would have a fit if they did. And Steele, as you say, in observing the over-enthusiastic feeding, suggests that Laura cuts back on the flakes unless she wants to see goldfish explode.
Yeah.
And of course, just as he's saying that, Vinny, still wearing his hospital robe, comes crashing through the window from the fire escape.
It hasn't been long since he escaped.
Nope.
And also, is she close to the hospital? Because, I
Not
mean,
necessarily.
I can't imagine like he would have been able to get a cab in that without any money or a bus.
Well,
And yet he somehow makes it into her window, which
don't
is...
ask questions. Don't ask questions.
Fine. And he has all his hair and zero sign that he's just had brain surgery. But okay, fine.
Yeah, don't ask questions. Yes, as he crashes through the fire escape and then he rolls over the counter onto the floor, pieces of glass and window frame accompany him. He struggles to his feet, holding the pieces of the window frame and awkwardly apologizes about breaking the window, making the excuse that he tripped.
Yeah.
And shocked, Laura asks what he was doing out there. But rather than answer, he looks down as he brushes his hair out. As he brushes out his hair with his hand, he bends down, picks up something, and then holding it out to Laura, tells her that she's dropped her turtle, which was very, very kind and generous of him, and very thoughtful.
Turtles. Another funny story. We found a bunch of little tiny turtles when we were kids. Like there was, this is like the Ninja Turtles. There were 4 of them, and I desperately wanted to keep them. I brought them home in a little bowl because it was the 80s, and back then, as you know, we just ran feral. Like our parents just let us leave the house, and eventually we came back.
Or back at dark,
but, whatever. Yeah. So I came back. I left for the day and came back with this bowl of turtles, like 4 turtles in a bowl. And I was like, look, I found pets. We're keeping them. And my mom, like, I've only now as an adult realized what it was that she did, but she was like, oh, well, their habitat is outside. So we'll just put them in the bowl and leave them outside and they'll stay there and we'll put some food for them. And of course they left. They were not in the bowl the next day, but that was her way of gently like getting rid of the turtles that I just brought home to keep.
Yeah.
So,
and as far as us
Mom.
running feral in the 1980s, we managed to survive somehow. We didn't have to be bubble wrapped and
I almost got
protected from
kidnapped.
Everything.
I legit almost got kidnapped. I had a man
survived.
come up to me in a car and I'd try to get me into his car. I had to run and he chased me. So
But we survived. I mean, I used to ride the back of a pickup truck down the road, going down the road.
Yep.
You know, we survived. But anyway, he hands the turtle to Laura. Laura takes the turtle and turns half away, cuddling the turtle in her hands.
Poor turtle.
She then looks back at Vinny and asks who he is. Oh, Vinny Dowd, he says by way of introduction. And then pleadingly, he tells Laura and Steele that he's in trouble and needs their help.
Okay, did Mildred give him the address?
Of course. That's what Mildred does. Oh, you want to go to their apartment? Yeah, here, try this one.
Like,
and if they're not there, try this one.
Has he never heard of office hours? Like, he's obviously just escaped, but how would he know where to find their home unless he called the office and Mildred said, oh, yeah, you can find him here. Mildred.
That's right.
Come on.
I mean, it's the only possible explanation.
Yeah.
Either that or Laura's got her name and address in the phone book and he just...
Bad guys, find me here. Yeah.
Well, Steele wonders if it wouldn't have been easier for Vinny to just, use the door.
Right.
And Laura, frowning at the name, suddenly has a realization. Vincent Dowd, the LeBlanc kidnapping, she asks. And desperately, Vinny confirms her question, but then declares that he didn't do it and they've got to believe him. And Remington recalls that he had been convicted for murder, life imprisonment. Yeah, Vinny says, but he was framed. And when Steele asks who framed him, Vinny grins and points at himself and says, gleefully says, me.
He's so proud of himself. Yeah, he's real puffed up at this.
Yes. Well, Laura's response is harsh and disbelieving. You framed yourself. And Vinny's grin turns to a frown as he admits that, he did a humdinger of a job, didn't he? Laura and Remington look at each other for a brief moment, and then Laura turns and ducks her head and heads toward the phone. Vinny rushes up behind her and stammers, hey, wait, just a minute. Although Laura ignores him, Steele gestures to get her attention. And as she turns to Steele, she sees that he's pointing toward Vinny, more specifically toward the gun that Vinny's pulled out of his pocket of his hospital robe. And then they both raise their hands because that's what you do when somebody points a gun at you.
Well, yeah, usually. I mean, I've never had it happen to me, but I assume that's what I would do. So
I know you do because that's what happens on TV all the time.
Exactly. And, well, they also put their gun down their pants all the time on TV.
Well, that's true too. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
Well, in a casual tone, as if he's just simply asking for a favor, Vinny tells him that this is just going to take a minute. And Steele responds that, well, since he put it like that, they'll just sit down. Well, agreeing that they should take a load off, Vinny walks them over to the couch and then begins telling them his tale of woe. He's a school bus driver, never been sick a day in his life. And then one day, bam, he blacks out. Doctor says he's got some sort of terminal brain disease. And Steele opines that he's not surprised.
And I like the fact that they don't actually give a name to whatever his brain issue is.
Sure.
Because whatever it is, I'm going to say I would call bullcrap on being able to completely cure somebody after they've been declared terminal without any after effects or any damage or muscle. So just vaguely saying, I've got some terminal brain disease kind of absolves them of having to worry about finding one
Details.
that you could actually... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a good call.
And it keeps it from straying into the realm of science fiction. Yes.
Exactly.
Anyway, Vinny chuckles and says, well, that's the breaks. But at least his wife, Nedra, gets the insurance money. But then in a frustrated tone, he says, well, they checked the policy only to find out that it doesn't cover this sort of thing. And angrily, Laura says, we're listening. Continuing, Vinny says, well, then there's this exercise guy, Lance LeBlanc. He gets kidnapped. A couple days pass and they find a body. So his wife offers a huge reward. And in a less hostile tone than before, Laura asks, $250,000, wasn't it? In cash, Vinny says eagerly. And then he gets an idea. He'll become the kidnap killer and Nedra collects the reward. Steele interrupts, saying that considering his medical condition, the police would see right through that in a minute. Right, Vinny concurs, but he's got a plan. Plant evidence against himself and then tip off the cops with an anonymous letter claiming to be his accomplice. Well, now intrigued, Laura remembers that the alleged accomplice was never found, but somehow got away with the reward money. Vinny moves to the couch, then sits down beside Laura, who recoils back. Vinny's very careless handling of the gun. In fact, he's been waving the gun around. Unconcerned with using it to keep Laura and Steele at bay during his entire story.
It's completely like a prop at this point. He's not even... He's not really paying attention.
Vinny says, pretty smart, huh? And the cops bust him, stake out the post office where he set up the ransom. And then he begins laughing as he concludes that the police don't know that he's already arranged to have the mail forwarded to another box in a different town. I think they would have figured that out. But anyway, where his wife picks it up, Steele concludes, and then suddenly has $250,000.
This is okay. So this point, you can see the look on Steele's face that he's kind of impressed with Vinny and that he's buying the story at least enough to be like, that somewhat professional respect. Because although Vinny's not a con man by nature, this is a con that Vinny managed to pull off. And Steele's like, oh, where your wife picked it up. Okay, I see. He's got some. He just likes the craft.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's real cute.
I mean, he may not approve of the particular details of the con from the standpoint that he's now Remington Steele. He's trying to stop crime, but he admires the quality work.
Yeah, exactly. And Laura, she's still at the stage where she doesn't really believe him, but he's just kind of like, oh, okay, you sly devil, I see what you did. It's good.
And it's got enough believability for Steele that he buys it.
Yeah.
Anyway, with satisfaction, Vinny says that everything was going perfect. Then a couple of months ago, he was strolling around the prison yard and started to feel dizzy. His head feels like it's going to spit his eyeballs out or something. And then bang, he hits the deck. And he's thinking, Nedra, baby, this is it. I'm history. And Laura demands. Vinny tells him that next thing he knows, he's waking up in a prison ward of a hospital. Turns out some brilliant young doctor used him as a guinea pig and he's cured. He's going to live. And then in anguish, he says, but it's going to be behind bars for the rest of his life for something he never did.
So I have a question.
Okay.
Because whatever this doctor did saved his life and cured him. And he had been declared uncurable prior to this. So I'm wondering, I know that doctors are required to get consent for major medical procedures from the patient's family. But if his family's not available and he's collapsed, whatever he did obviously cured him, but would the doctor have had the ability to just decide to do whatever experimental procedure he did, or would the doctor just be required to just save the man's life? Or does it matter that he's a prisoner so he did whatever the heck he wanted to do because he's... I'm always wondering about stuff like this.
I was wondering about that. Yeah, I know that when there's a medical emergency and somebody's unconscious, they try to get consent from next of kin, and if they can't, I guess that their only function at that point, the only thing they're allowed to do at that point is save the person's life. But if saving their life cures them, I guess it's a twofer.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying it wasn't. I was just kind of curious because I'm guessing
at some point you would have thought that there would they would had to have had consent of some sort from somebody.
What I'm guessing happened is that this maverick doctor saw him on the table and thought, this is a chance to try this new experimental thing, and and figured there was no downside to it if he died because he was already declared terminal. So it would just be like a whoopsie, guess he didn't make it.
Well, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the real world that sort of thing doesn't actually happen. I mean, a doctor sees an opportunity to try something and, hey, let's go for it. And if it works, great. If it doesn't,
because he clearly assumed that Vinny would be thrilled to be not only alive, but completely cured.
Anyway, so as Vinny's telling his story and comments about being locked up for the rest of his life, Steele says that, so you took a hike. Well, I panicked, Vinny admits. And in disgust, Laura declares this to be the most preposterous story she's ever heard.
I gotta say, I'm not saying that Laura should be buying this hook, line, and sinker, but she should be good at reading people. And this guy does not scream mastermind killer. Not a single part of him says diabolical, cold-blooded murderer. The man can't even hold the gun right. There should be at least a kernel of doubt in her mind, the way there is with Steele, who's kind of like, yeah, okay, I can see how this could be what you did, because he's not... He's Vinny. He's just kind of a doofus, you know. It's
almost so preposterous a story that it almost compels you to at least consider it, because nobody in their right mind would make up such a convoluted story if it wasn't true, at least somewhat true.
Yeah, and if he was really the killer, he wouldn't have broken into their home and pulled a gun. If it were me, I'd be going to Mexico. I'd be getting as far away as humanly possible. I'd be on my way to a non-extradition country just to put all of it behind me. But no, he's gone to them to say, hey, this is what I'm innocent. I didn't really do this. I framed myself. Please help me. Also, I'm kind of an idiot. Put two and two together, Laura. I'm just saying. Yeah,
because after all, his wife has got $250,000.
She could join him.
Exactly.
wasn't,
And they could live
you know.
live in luxury down in, Mexico or Baja or wherever,
Well, if she wasn't also kind of awful, but
Well, yeah, but he doesn't know that. So
no, not yet.
anyway, Laura, who does not believe the story, starts to rise from the couch, but Vinny holds her back and, holding out the gun, puts it into Laura's hand and tells her, well, if you don't believe me, go on, take it. And as Laura's holding the gun like it's a snake about to bite her.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because, I mean, we've seen her hold guns before.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, her reaction here is just kind of weird.
It is weird. Her reaction to this guy is really weird in general because even though, like, I get her being uncomfortable on the couch because he's waving the gun around, but his whole being screams harmless, and usually she's able to pick up on this stuff. Steele has picked up on it. He's not worried about the guy, and he's literally handed the gun to Laura, saying like, "Hey, you don't believe me? Here, take the gun." Like that should be. I don't know. She seems weirdly scared of him when he's not. When he's maybe okay. And if we were
concerned, perhaps is appropriate, but she's overreacting to the situation.
If this show were in any way not as episodic as it is, one could read into it that because of what happened with Wally and this man's in her home,
well, that's true.
That this is, I don't think that that's what was intended because again, they forget about these episodes, like they're so episodic. But if we were to actually try to piece it together in terms of her psyche, she had somebody who kind of looked a little bit like Vinny come into her home. Well, I mean, in the sort of like the doughy faced, kind of like goofy, innocent sort of like demeanor. I'm not talking about like physical, but just like the whole
but the
presence.
The presentation, the personality presentation.
And then bring a gun, her gun, and essentially he seemed harmless and turned out to be very not harmless. So that's part true. I can sort of say, okay, but that's not what they obviously were going for. That's just me kind of putting it in there.
Well, anyway, as Laura's sitting there holding the gun, Vinny starts to kind of panic a little bit. He tells him that he's putting his fate in their hands. They are his only hope, Obi-Wan. They got to find out who killed Lance LeBlanc and get him off the hook. And suddenly there's a knock on the door and a voice calling out, "Police, open up!" Panicked, Vinny grabs the gun back from Laura, having suddenly decided, he better keep his fate in his own hands for a while.
Yeah.
He gets up, pats Steele on the arm, telling him he'll keep in touch, and heads toward the window that he crashed through earlier. After he departs, Laura goes to the door where the knocking is continuing.
So
she slides
I know you don't like her outfit, but her hair looks really good here, doesn't it?
It looks.
It's a bit of a different style. I mean,
it's
because
we've seen her in something like this before, I think.
No, because they normally have her bangs either down and framing her face, or they have them like back. But in this case, they've got them sort of like around her head, and then like her hair is down below it. This hairstyle she's never had before, but it looks good on her because it's done up nicely enough that you can tell she's done something to it, but it's not so done up that there's like so much hairspray in it that there's an extra hole in the ozone layer. So I think she looks, I think the hair looks quite nice, even if you hate the really cool outfit she's wearing. I would wear that outfit. I would 1000% wear that outfit.
Oh, that scares me. That really scares me.
Shush.
Anyway, let's see, where were we? Let's see, we did that one.
She walked over.
Oh, yes.
She's opening the door.
Laura slides open the door to reveal a tallish man in a suit and tie. And Laura clearly knows him because she greets him as a detective, and then he calls her by her name. He apologizes for bothering her, but there's an escaped con in the neighborhood, and the police are going door to door. Then he asks if she's seen anything suspicious. Well, she begins to tell him yes, that they were just entertaining the convict in question, but strolling up behind her, Steele cuts her off, telling the officer that they were wondering what all the commotion was about.
Good for you, Steele.
Laura, picking up on Steele's cue, although perhaps reluctantly, tells Steele, you remember Detective Zwigenhauer, and annoyed, the detective corrects her, Zwigenhoff. And he reminds Steele that they met on the Buxton Sears case about a year ago. And I looked up the name Zwigenhoff, just because.
Yeah, because that is a weird ass name.
It is. It's one of those names where you wonder how they picked it. And
I usually assume there's somebody on the crew that had that name, and they just decided, hey, we'll go with Bob's last name. We need a name.
Yeah. The surname Zwagenhalf, which is spelled with an A, although in the script the version is spelled with an O, has its roots in Eastern European Jewish communities, particularly within the Ashkenazi tradition. The name is believed to be derived from the Yiddish words Zweig, meaning branch, and Haf, which could relate to a place or specific characteristic, possibly indicating a connection to nature or a geographical feature. Historically, surnames among Jewish populations were often adopted in the late 18th to early 19th century, particularly during the period of the Napoleonic Wars, when many Jewish families were required to take on fixed surnames for administrative purposes. As such, Zwagenhof may have been originally associated with families living near a notable tree or branching river, reflecting their environment or occupation as landowners or farmers. And culturally, the surname Zwagenhof may exhibit variations in spelling and pronunciations across different regions, particularly as Jewish communities migrated throughout Europe and then later to the Americas. Variants include Zwagenhof, as we have spelled in the script, or Zwagenhauf, A-U-F, reflecting the phonetic adaptations to local languages and dialects. So, there you go.
This is interesting because they obviously couldn't use Jarvis here, given what ends up happening at the end, right?
Right.
And Laura makes a point of reminding Steele, oh yeah, we've met on this case a year ago. Obviously, we didn't see that. It was supposed to be a case that has happened off screen. But he makes a comment to her later on about what she was like back in Havenhurst. And I would really love to know more about because their relationship in this episode is really antagonistic. Like, extremely. Yes. I mean, I know he's also turns out to be the bad guy, but like, there just seems to be this hostility that feels almost over the top unless there's something that we don't know about that happened.
Well, we definitely don't know about it. My question was, had he at one point, and I had this in my notes later on, but since you brought it up, we'll go ahead and discuss it now. My question was, had he actually worked for Havenhurst at the same time as Laura, first of all?
Yeah.
And secondly, had he left in disgrace?
I kind of wondered that too, because I assumed that he had worked. That was my assumption, that he had worked at Havenhurst and that he had either been kicked out or left or fired or whatever, because then he decided to go through the police track and become a detective. I don't see any other. I mean, I guess he could have been a police detective at the time, or a police officer at the time.
And they butted heads on a case that she was handling.
But it feels more like he's referencing Havenhurst as a place where they were both together there. So, I would love to know more, and I wish there was at least one other line that's kind of like gave us some of that background, but either way.
Well, there's two fan fiction possibilities right there. Buxton Sears and...
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. I thought you were referencing actual fan fictions.
And Zwagenhof back at Havenhurst with Laura. So
yeah, there we go. There's your homework.
That's right. There's your homework for the day.
Your weekly homework.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Steele looks off in the distance, trying to recall the Buxton Sears case. Then, recalling it, says or asks how the detective is doing. Disinterested in Steele, he offhandedly says, "Yeah, he's fine." And then, peering past Laura and Remington, he catches sight of the mess that Vinny created in the kitchen: broken glass, broken window frame, debris strewn all over the floor, and asks what it's about. And Steele glances back at the mess and then excuses it as a little accident, adding that it's a miracle no one was hurt. But at the sound of garbage cans being knocked over out back, Zwagenhof runs into the loft toward the demolished window. He looks out, spots Vinny, then calls on the radio. He's in the alley. He runs back from the kitchen to the front door, and as he approaches the door, there's a crunching sound underfoot.
Oh, no. I hate
Laura
this.
Stiffens.
I hate this.
Laura stiffens with shock mixed with fear on her face. Zwagenhof looks down, then at Laura, and tells her, "Sorry about the turtle."
Okay.
Almost casually.
I have real troubles watching anything where an animal dies. Like, I'm totally fine with watching stuff where people die. Animals, I really struggle with, even like turtles, small, innocent little turtles. So every time they made this gag, I was just like so sad. And I know it's silly because it's a turtle, but like...
And no turtles were harmed in the making of this movie.
I mean, I don't know if I've I don't know if I've explained this whole, I can't watch an animal die in any way, shape, or form in a movie, but there's the John Wick series is a good example of this, where I don't know if you've ever seen these movies, but the first movie basically is Keanu Reeves, and he plays like a retired hitman whose wife has passed away from cancer, and the last thing that she's given him is this puppy. And he loves the puppy, and he runs afoul of this gang member who decides to come and steal his car, and in the process of it, they kill his dog, and so he comes out of retirement and basically just kills everybody. And I really wanted to see the movie because
from the way you describe it, it sounds like his reaction might be a little over the top.
Oh no, his reaction is totally in proportion. If someone hurt my dog, they'd be dead. But like, I really wanted to see the movie. I saw the trailer and I was like, I want to see this. This looks so good, but I can't watch a movie where the dog dies. I can't do it. And Scott was like, we'll figure it out. We'll find a way. So we went to the theater, and we're in the theater, and we're at the scene where they break into his house. And I know that it's coming. And Scott turns to me and he says, "You're going to want to go and get some popcorn now." And so I'm like, yeah, I do. So I go and I get the popcorn. I come back and I asked Scott what happened. And he said, the doggy got away. And I said, oh, and he's like, yeah, it got put into witness puppy protection and it's fine. And he's just pretending that the dog is dead so that all the criminals think the dog is dead so that nobody comes after the dog. So that's how I watch that movie every time. Literally every time we watch it, I leave the room, come back and pretend he's in witness puppy protection because I can't watch. So this turtle getting stepped on, it really bothers me. I get really upset.
Brilliant, Scott. Brilliant.
He's a good husband. Like that's the way to handle this, right? But I just even the turtle gag makes me sad because poor Phyllis. Phyllis didn't deserve that, and neither did Phyllis the second.
No. Well, after Zwigenhoff kind of apologizes about the turtle, Laura looks down. She's got a disgusted and sick look on her face.
Yeah,
she does.
That probably doesn't look pleasant.
And I'm sure it's a gooey mess. I'm sure it's not a pretty sight.
Thank you for that image. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. Anyway, next we're at the office, and we see an exercise video playing on a monitor. And a muscular man has a set of weights in each hand, lifting them, and of course he's shirtless. And Mildred is in the office with Steele watching, and she appreciatively murmurs, "Oh boy." Steele mutters, "Down, Mildred."
And I would like to point out he's wearing that awful suit jacket that I want to burn. Yep. Laura, though, okay, you may not have liked her previous output, but you have to think she looks good in this green dress and the matching fedora.
Yeah.
Like that looks good. But it's funny to see, like, suit. It's not just the fact that they're working out in this video. It's that whoever this is obviously either some advertisement or some promotional video. They've literally gone and covered these people in like liquid to make it look like they're sweating. But it just looks ridiculous. Like nobody sweats quite that much. So they're like oiled up and they're grunting. And then Mildred, she's like,
tongue hanging out.
Yeah, Steele's down, Mildred. It's just very, very well done. I love it.
Well, and then of course the video pulls back from the man to reveal a woman next to him wearing, let's call it an exercise outfit.
Sure, we'll call it that.
and I've got my notes here. It says, and speaking of outfits, Steele is once again wearing that leather suit jacket that Sara hates so much.
I hate this jacket. Why can't we burn it? Kill it with fire. It's horrible.
Well, Laura comes in carrying a box that looks like it could contain Chinese takeout. Steele turns off the video as Mildred complains, "What a waste." "Lance LeBlanc?" Laura asks. "Lunch?" Steele asks, gesturing to the box in Laura's hand. "No, a replacement for Phyllis." "Who's Phyllis?" Mildred asks. "A turtle," Laura replies. And confused, Mildred asks, "What turtle?"
That is weird. It is weird to see her wander into the office with a turtle in a box. Like that would be completely out of left field without an explanation.
Turtle in a box.
Turtle in a box. Turtle.
Make a
Are you
fast
not-
food place out of it. Turtle in a box.
Oh, I was just thinking, am I not good enough for the Turtle Club? Turtle. It's Saturday night. I think it's Saturday Night Live. Anyway.
Turtle in a box where they serve. Yes. Anyway.
Yeah.
Steele is looking through documents in a file, and he tells Mildred that he'll explain later. Then to Laura, he says, about this case. Laura interrupts, incredulous. Don't tell me you believe that story we heard last night. Steele says that he and Mildred have been going over the case, and he thinks, and Laura interrupts again, pointing out that the man was a condemned murderer, and condemned men will go to great lengths to escape their fate. Now Steele is incredulous, saying that she just saw the video. Does she really think that Vinny killed that man? And he begins reading from the report, with a blow to the head with a blunt object. And unwilling to concede the point, Laura insists that she does believe it. Mildred argues that Lance would have pulverized the man just by flexing.
Okay. Yes and no. I'm going to push back on this a tiny little bit because I knew a person who was a bodybuilder, like did competitions and stuff like that. And the thing that you don't realize is that they don't look like that all the time, but when they're coming up to competitions, there's certain things, not talking steroids, just certain things that they do to basically maximize the muscle and what you see, like when they get up on the stage so they can do their, this and this and whatever. And usually they're extremely weak on competition days. And I'm not saying that this would have been because we don't know if Lance was...
They're weak on competition days?
Extremely weak because of severe dehydration and sodium manipulation. Drain the fluid. Basically, they stop drinking water because it actually makes the muscles stand out. It when water is stripped away, it achieves kind of like a dry look on stage, and the muscles shrink, but they alter the mechanical leverage fibers and basically allow them to, like, I know this sounds all like weird, but like when they do the posing and whatnot, it actually makes aggressively cutting water and salts kind of like messes with their electrolyte imbalance, and it makes the muscles kind of pop more. It causes them to be extremely fatigued. It causes them to be very weak on these competition days. And that's why, like, you'll see pictures of, say, Arnold Schwarzenegger when he's on stage and he's like, you can see, like, it just looks like he's about to, like, his arms are going to explode because they're, like, huge. But then you see him in some movies where he doesn't look quite as big. It's because he's not dehydrated. So.
Okay, but the rest of the time, they've got strength. And so unless he was killed on a competition day, he would have been at regular eating, regular strength. And
well, no, because there is still a lot of restriction when they're prepping for this. Because like I said, a friend of mine used to do this, and he would have, like, when he was leading up to, and again, we don't even know if Lance LeBlanc did competitions. I'm just kind of like saying he's not necessarily going to be super duper strong, because if he was doing that, when you're leading up to competitions, you're restricting. Yes, you are working out a ton, but there's also a lot that your body's not getting. And so it actually, you cycle. So my friend would do this, and he would, like, 9-10 days before a competition, stop eating this, stop drinking this, stop doing this, stop doing this. And then, of course, afterwards, he'd go to Burger King and he would just, like, pound the fast food back. So and again, I don't know if Lance LeBlanc was a bodybuilder at all, like if he was competitions or whatever. But when she says, like, he'd pulverize him just by flexing, I thought, well, it depends. If it's game day, not necessarily. He'd be very weak.
Well, the other thing is that we don't get a whole lot of detail about the impact on Lance LeBlanc's head, where it was, and that sort of thing. So it's entirely conceivable that somebody who's a 98-pound weakling could have actually taken him out with the right tool, right utensil, right device, sneak up behind him, whatever,
by surprise. They're not going to be able to do too much if they don't see it coming. Yeah.
And leverage is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And so if you got the right tool with the right leverage, you can do some damage.
Anyway, that's just my excuse to randomly inject that knowledge that I have about bodybuilding, because I
has
have
nothing to do with the episode. We just kind of shoehorned it in and pretended.
When she made that comment, I thought, well, it depends. Is he doing this for competition? But then we don't know. We don't get that information
Well, Steele argues that Vinny went to a lot of trouble to see them, and so how about if they just go over and see Vinny's wife, and if she doesn't confirm the story, then they'll drop the whole thing. Promise? Laura asks sternly. Absolutely, Steele says, which is code for, no, not really, but I'll say whatever I have to get my way.
Yeah, not a chance.
And then after considering for a moment, Laura hands the box to Mildred, instructing her to make sure Phyllis has enough water.
I would, if I were Mildred, I'd be like, this is not in my job description, so there's going to need to be some sort of raise. Turtle sitting is not in my list of responsibilities.
Well, and as Laura and Steele leave the office, Mildred peeks into the box and gives a disgusting grimace.
She's apparently not a fan. Turtles are cute. Darn it.
And they're kind of clean animals, I guess.
They're pretty harmless.
Yeah.
They crawl around and look adorable.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, at the Dowd home, Laura and Steele are on a couch with Nedra, who is asking in surprise, he told you he was cured? Laura ignores the question, instead asking if the woman's husband was telling the truth. Well, just then, a crashing sound comes from behind and above. Glass and window framing material fall from the ceiling, followed by Vinny Dowd.
Okay, I'm going to call bullcrap on this one, too, because we used to have a skylight in our kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And those things, you could not crash through that skylight if you wanted to. They are thick, thick plexiglass. Like, you can't just fall through a skylight, especially not the type of skylight that the camera sort of pans up to it for half a second. Like, we had one like that in our kitchen, and we used to climb out onto the roof for fun. We used to go through the bathroom window onto the garage roof, and then we'd climb up and we'd go and look down into the skylight and be like, hi, and scare the crap out of my mom because it was fun. Those things were like, you could not break them. I don't know. I call bull.
Well, I'm going to say that probably most would be, especially nowadays, designed as you're describing, and probably many at this time would have been described like that or designed like that, but maybe not all of them. So I'll say there's a possibility. You're right. It probably isn't a huge possibility or probability, but I think the possibility is there. So we'll hand wave. Hand wave. Your favorite thing to do. Hand wave. Anyway, the three jump up startled at the sound, and then Nedra rushes around the couch calling out, Vinny! She helps him to his feet, and they hug. After a moment, Vinny asks, new skylight, huh? It caught me by surprise. Nothing phases this guy.
Not at all. He's just totally, even when he finds out at the end, he's just like, yeah, okay, that's fair. Like,
that's right.
What? Dude.
Well, Nedra asks if it's really true that he's cured, and giddy Vinny assures her that it's true. He hugs her again and then looks up at what's left of the skylight and asks, so what, did you put that one in yourself? Oh, Vinny. She says no, she had it done, which, I mean, I suppose if she's really, really handy, she might have been able to do it herself, but probably
I
wouldn't
see
have.
that being something anybody would do themselves. That doesn't
Not when they got $250,000 to spend, yeah.
Well, unless you're like a really knowledgeable home reno type person. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something you're going to hire somebody for. That's not something you do yourself.
Yeah, water leaks are not a good thing.
No.
So anyway, she says she had it done, and Vinny begins looking around, admiring the house, observing that the place looks great, and commenting that it must have cost a fortune. And as he looks around,
had a fortune.
Yes, as he looks around, he jumps, startled to see Remington and Laura, and Steele gives him a finger waggle wave as Vinny asks what they're doing there. Steele tells him that they've decided to take the case, except that Laura, of course, isn't of the same mind as Steele.
Yeah.
She asks Vinny to excuse them for a moment and pulls Steele aside, asking if he's aware of the ramifications of aiding and abetting an escaped felon.
Oh, come on. Like they haven't done it before.
That's right.
This is not the first time. And sometimes Steele was the known felon, so.
Yes. But, this is different.
Sure.
I mean, that's the time-worn excuse that everybody uses when they want to
but this one's different.
Be hypocritical. Yeah, okay. This is different. Anyway, Steele suggests that unless somebody aids and abets him quickly, he's going to slice himself to death by falling through windows, which is a point.
Yeah.
Laura insists on knowing why he's so determined to help Vinny. And offhandedly, Steele tells her, well, let's just say he reminds me of a young man I once knew who was in trouble and on the run. And Laura calmly concludes that Steele really believes that Vinny's telling the truth, doesn't he? And there's a noticeable shift in her attitude from I don't get it to and from I don't get it and you've got to be kidding disbelief to a kind of a compassionate acceptance.
Yeah, and this is the season 4 effect that we've been pointing out, because this would not have happened in season 2. She would have fought him until she saw evidence that Vinny was innocent, or that she would not have just trusted him on his word or his instincts the same way that she's doing here, because and his offhanded, I knew a young man that was on the run once. I mean, he's probably talking about himself,
sure.
But
and she picks up on that.
Yeah, it's even with that, even without that, I think that if he had just said, listen, I have a feeling, it's an instinct, call it whatever, but I think he's innocent, I think she still would have gone with it. She doesn't really fight him after this. She basically just says, all right, I trust you, your instinct on this, and she goes with it, which I like.
Well, he says, yes, he does believe that Vinny's innocent, so softly Laura says, all right. She turns to Vinny and Nedra and confirms that, okay, yes, they will take the case. And Vinny is happy until Laura adds a condition. He's got to turn himself in. Oh, no, Vinny says, he can't do that. Nedra pulls her arms around him and pleads, oh, please, don't make him go back. And in desperation, Vinny begins, I can help. After all, who knows more about the LeBlanc kidnapping than I do? Presumably the kidnapper Steele suggests. Well, yeah, besides him, Vinny says. And Steele frowns and then, as an aside, tells Laura that he has a point. And dismayed, Laura asks what they're going to do with him. Steele stammers that he could stay at Steele's place. And, of course, Vinny's excited and he runs to get his clothes. Yeah. And Laura tells Steele that she doesn't like this.
No.
Vinny comes back in, confused, wondering what happened to all this stuff. Hello, Vinny.
Yeah, this should not surprise him, this part, because the rest of the stuff with Nedra, obviously, I'm going to go ahead and guess she probably never visited him in prison. And that should have been a sign.
Yeah, I mean, she says, well, I didn't think you were coming back, which, hello, yeah,
that
Vinny,
makes sense.
That makes sense. Why didn't you think of that?
Because she thought he was terminal. But we don't, and this is just my assumption based on what we find out about Nedra at the end, but I'm assuming she never once came to visit him, and it didn't clue into Vinny that something wasn't right about that, because if you would think that if she truly loved him the way that Vinny thinks she does, that she would have come and visited him whenever she could, because she would have known that his time was short and would have wanted to,
Well, sounding almost as if he's on the verge of tears, he asks, so you got rid of all my stuff? Aww. And when she nods, he says, my bowling ball? He nods again. And Vinny sighs, glances down at his hospital robe, and then in resignation says, well, I guess I can go like this. Well, Nedra remembers that there's still a bag of clothes for the thrift store, suggesting that maybe there's something in there. Well, what else would there be, Nedra?
Yeah.
The two run out of the room, leaving Steele and Laura. Well, next, Steele and Laura are in the Rabbit, top down, driving through the sunny streets.
With a known felon in the back of the car.
Except we don't see that yet. Laura's driving and complaining. Lance LeBlanc was murdered over a year ago. They have no clues, and a cold trail at that. Steele points out that they don't have to solve Lance LeBlanc's kidnapping. They only have to prove that Vinny didn't do it. Oh, Laura counters that it's too bad Vinny doesn't have an alibi. And then we hear Vinny, still unseen, but as you said, hiding in the back seat, say, wait a minute, I do. He sits up wearing a bright Hawaiian shirt and extremely dark sunglasses. Looking ridiculous.
A more like loud outfit. He picked the loudest outfit in that first bag.
That's right. Well, I mean, in all fairness, it might have been the only thing left in there, but
true.
But yeah, it's probably not the best choice, let's say.
No.
Anyway, he sits up and he tells Steele and Laura that the night that LeBlanc was kidnapped, he was bowling with the guy he used to work with. Steele waves Vinny back down out of sight, and Laura asks, what guy? Vinny sits up again, responding to Laura's query. Frank Dunn, Said that I was supposed to meet him at a bowling alley that night, but that I never showed up. This time Steele reaches back and shoves Vinny down. And Laura can't believe it. He perjured himself for you? Well, sure, Vinny says. I gave the guy $1,000. And Steele asks where he lives, and Vinny begins directing them.
This is what kills me. And not that I would do this, but anytime I see court shows or trials in movies and stuff like that, where you've got somebody on the stand that has something to hide, and they're like, well, I have to tell the truth. I can't commit perjury. And I think to myself, well, you can. It's
and you might even get away with it too.
You might. I'm not saying anybody should. Please do not take this as an endorsement to commit perjury. But I strongly suspect a lot more people do than you would think, because especially if they're hiding something they don't want other people to know, they're probably going to lie in the hopes that it's not going to get caught.
Or they tell a version of the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
That they can later defend as being the truth, but they left out enough stuff, or they said it in such a way as to mean something totally
And in terms
different.
of Frank Dunn, this would have been sort of an easy thing to do, because Vinny's the one asking him to do it. Nobody else is going to know that he...
That's right.
This is literally just... He's given him $1,000 to say, oh, yeah, he didn't show up. And Vinny's the only one that can correct that story, and he's going to die.
Unless the bowling alley had video. But
yeah,
talking about lying on the stand, or
don't do it. I'm not saying that you should do it. I'm not endorsing.
Let's say telling a shaded version of the truth on the stand. Not to pick on police officers, but I used to work with a bunch of them, and I did security and law enforcement for the Air National Guard for about 6 years, and so I know how things can be stated in a way that says something that it doesn't really say. For example, the suspect admitted to repeatedly striking the person, or striking the child. Well, that sounds terrible.
That does,
They were spanking them.
Yeah.
Not exactly the same thing. But technically, spanking them is striking. So when you can say it in a way that makes it sound worse or better than it actually is, just by changing the words. I mean, newspapers, TV, news, they do that all the time.
Yeah, I do this with my students when we're talking about bias and how headlines can tell a different story. And I use the example of hundreds injured in plane crash versus only minor injuries in plane crash. One obviously sounds far more dramatic and far more dangerous. The other is like minor injuries. Okay, but hundreds injured in plane crash. Oh my gosh. Minor injuries in plane crash. It's the same thing, and neither one of them is lying. It's just how they're telling it. So, yeah.
So anyway, next we cut to a shot of the rabbit parked in front of an apartment building. No one apparently in the car, but parked in front of a red curb, which means no parking, Laura.
Like, she's trying to get him thrown in jail anyway. He knows that he's not going to go willingly. She figures, okay, someone's going to come up, they're going to see him, and he'll just get tossed. His butt's going to get tossed in jail.
So next we see Laura and Remington climbing stairs inside the apartment building. Laura's telling Steele that she hopes that Mildred is taking good care of Phyllis. He has no idea what she had to go through to find that particular turtle. And Steele doesn't seem to understand the issue, suggesting that if you've seen one, you've seen them all. Not if you're a 6-year-old, she replies, offended on behalf of all 6-year-olds. I mean, she is really offended by that. I
wonder, too, if did they replace the second Phyllis, and did it actually pass muster with, you know what I mean? When the turtle was, this doesn't look like Phyllis. Yeah, it's Phyllis.
Well, fact is, I mean, Steele's got a point. If you've seen one, you've kind of seen them all. They all look very, unless there is something very unique about one particular turtle, some weird marking on the shell, damage,
on the shell
whatever.
Or something.
They all look alike. Anyway, outside, a police car pulls up behind the rabbit. The officer gets out and steps to the back of the rabbit to record the license plate number. And as he does, he sees Vinny lying down on the floorboard of the back seat of the car. The officer walks around to the passenger side of the car, the side nearest Vinny's head, and asks if Vinny's okay. And Vinny sits up and asks the officer, me? And then patting his pockets says he can't find his car keys.
Oh, Vinny.
And the officer looks over at the ignition switch where Laura's keys are hanging And of
This
course,
could have
Vinny
been avoided really easily, Vinny, right?
Yeah, don't
first
park
of
in a
all,
no parking zone.
well, not even just that. First of all, don't say you're looking for your car keys. Don't even pretend the car is yours. Just because you're in the car doesn't mean that you're driving it. He
That's
could have
right.
said, "Yeah, I lost my wallet," and he's looking for it, or something. And then by pretending he was that, just say, "This is a friend. They're inside. They parked. This isn't my car." That's pretty normal.
Or I've had a long day. With some friends
Yeah, the
there,
sun.
talking to somebody. I've been tired. I was
I
taking
just
a
had
nap.
to exactly. It's
Yeah.
not hard to make up a story, but then he says the thing about the keys, and then he has to double down to pretend that dude, don't pretend it's your car. Don't pretend. Just say, a friend of mine's inside. I'm waiting for them. I dropped something. Man,
Yeah.
you're right. He's Bing. If Bing wasn't the most irritating human being on the planet.
Well, Vinny notices the officers look at the ignition and then the questioning expression he gets. And Vinny gives a slight cough, and points to them and says, "Ah," as if to say, "Yeah, that's where they are. Silly me." The officer asks if he has a driver's license. Well, Vinny takes a deep breath and then answers, "Yes, not on me." And he chuckles and with uncertainty adds, "Not on me, but I do have one." Well, back
again,
inside.
He can't get in trouble for this because he's not physically driving the car. So,
Oh, well, yeah, you're right. Although you never know, because if you are inside of a car in the back seat, the keys aren't in the ignition. It's just in your pocket, wherever. If you are drunk, you will get arrested for drunk driving.
fair enough. I just mean that,
No, I mean, if you're in the back seat, you're not driving. You are physically not driving. The car is parked. You are in the back seat by yourself. You can be arrested for drunk driving.
I don't disagree or I don't it's silly. That's silly,
Yeah.
right? But it just I could be wrong, but I don't think if you're sitting in the back and there's no evidence that you've been driving the car that you can get in trouble for not having a license. People
No,
are passengers.
but you might be in trouble for not having ID, because generally it's a legal requirement that you have some sort of identification on you. Believe it or
I
not.
wonder if that's the case here.
I'm sure it probably is.
I'm gonna have to Google that.
Anyway, inside the apartment building, Steele and Laura slowly enter Frank Dunn's apartment. Frank, dressed in slacks and a t-shirt, is stretched out on the couch, unmoving. Stepping inside, we see that Steele is wearing a belt made with leather studs on it.
Huh. Okay,
Apparently,
sorry,
he's rated Johnny Todd's costume for accessories to go with the leather suit jacket.
It's not a legal requirement to carry ID on you in Ontario. We have the right to refuse, and police generally cannot detain or search you simply to find your identification. So, when driving, if you're operating a motor vehicle, you are legally required to present your driver's license as proof of insurance, but that's only if you're driving.
Mm-hmm.
When detained or arrested, if the police have reasonable grounds to arrest or detain you, you must identify yourself verbally. Refusing to do so may result in arrest until your identity can be confirmed. If you are participating in heavily regulated activities like hunting or fishing, you must present required permits. Casual encounters or random street stops, police are required to inform you that you are not legally obliged to provide identifying information or answer any questions. That's now. I don't know if that was the case in the 80s. So,
yeah. According to a website called findlaw.com, states it's not necessarily a federal requirement, but states can require it.
Cool. Okay. It might have been the case too in the 80s, but I just know it's not. I just looked it up for now. It's not required.
But it doesn't look good if you don't have some sort of ID.
No, it really doesn't, because most people have at least something on them that says their name, even if it's not a driver's license. Because for the longest time, I didn't have a license. But had a thing.
Issue ID, yeah.
Yeah, in Ontario we have a thing called an age of majority card, which I think is now something different, but it's kind of like a license where it basically just it is your government ID and it gives your name and your age and whatever else. But yeah.
Here in the U.S., states issue an ID, which again looks similar to a driver's license, but it is the ID that you can get when you turn, I think, 18 in most places, but you can get that, and that's your ID.
We also have technically we're not legally obliged to show these, but our health cards also have our pictures on them, and they're government ID. So you can also show a health card, but you can't use a health card to get into a bar or something like that for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Anyway, Frank is stretched out on the couch, unmoving, and Steele's got that leather-studded belt or metal-studded belt. Laura and Steele look around the apartment as they slowly approach what turns out to be Frank Dunn's body. And Steele looks down, inspects the blood on the T-shirt, sighs, and then softly says, "Oh, Frank."
Yeah.
Outside,
it's almost like he's annoyed with Frank for being dead.
It is. He
like,
is.
Oh, come on, dude. We came here to ask you some questions. This is really rude. How dare you just be dead? How dare you get shot before we can question you?
And he is. He is very unhappy about it. Anyway, outside, the officer is holding up a vehicle registration. He gives Vinny a sideways look, suspiciously asking, "I thought you said your name was Remington Steele." Yeah, that's what I said. Vinny answers nervously. Looking back at the registration a moment, the officer tells Vinny that the registration says that the car belongs to a Laura Holt. And he turns back to Vinny and asks, "Who's she?" "My sister," Vinny responds, a little bit too eagerly. The officer gives a slight shake of his head, saying, "No, I don't think so." "My aunt?" he suggests.
Dude.
And pocketing the registration, the officer orders Vinny out of the car. But instead, Vinny, who is now in the front seat, starts the car, throws it into drive, and then peels out, racing down the street and around the corner. The officer runs to his squad car, hops in, and begins the pursuit. And as he does, Steele and Laura come out of the apartment building, and they stand on the sidewalk looking after the police car, which has also rounded the corner and disappeared.
Okay. I just realized something. I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry. This is totally random, but I just realized something. Today is Pierce Brosnan's birthday.
Oh. Happy birthday, peanut butter.
Peanut butter? Okay.
PB.
PB. Got it. Okay. I realized, I looked at the date and yeah, happy birthday to Pierce. We are recording this on his birthday. Also, the rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
They just had to get one more in.
That's right.
This seems malicious at this point from the writer's perspective.
gotta wreck that car.
Yeah,
anyway, we
haven't destroyed the rabbit in a while. We need to get it one more time.
We have a time jump, and we see that the rabbit has come to rest up against the dumpster. Large quantity of discarded objects now covering the.
What did he do to it? How? How did he even? How?
I don't know. But he managed. I mean, he is Vinny after all.
Yeah, it's like in pieces. I mean, I would understand it more if it was like it hit something and the front's all dinged up or whatever. But like, stuff's falling off the car.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, fine German quality manufacturing. Anyway, discarded objects are covering the now partially crumpled front end. Laura and Steele are removing debris, with Steele daintily using only one hand. Yeah. Apparently because using two hands might result in his clothes getting dirty, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Zwagenhoff, standing in front of the police car next to the rabbit, he's leaning over against the rabbit and looking on with amusement and says, "I'm starting to think last night was no coincidence." Then I say to myself, why would the prettiest PI, a woman who's good enough to run her own shop, be working for a guy like Dowd? And
so
Sara
this is an interesting line, too. Prettiest PI, first of all. So you got to wonder if maybe Zwagenhoff
turned him down
for her back. Yeah. But also, very rarely do the cops or anybody recognize that Laura is just as good or, better than... I mean, they both have their strengths. I don't want to say one's better than the other because they're different. But very rarely does she get recognized in this way. Mm-hmm. More often than not, it's especially from men. It's him that gets all the praise. And if there is a guy that's sniffing around her, it's somebody she knew from before who just had a thing for her, who she turned down, or maybe she dated like that Cliff idiot or what have you. But like this guy knows how good she is.
Mhm.
So that lends to the interpretation that he was at Havenhurst with her, because then he would have seen her in action.
Mhm.
Good enough to run her own shop. I almost like him for that line alone, but then he turns out to be a complete swine. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
But I don't know. It seems like there's a little bit of hostility even to that
Oh,
line.
100%.
That line
Yeah.
in the city's prettiest PI. It's almost almost a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
It's I'm going to insult you while I'm praising you.
Yeah, it's
know.
demeaning and also acknowledging her intelligence at the same time. It's actually
Mhm.
quite a, yeah, like you said, a backhanded compliment, because the prettiest PI is very pat, you're so pretty, pat, but then he knows that she's good. He knows she's smart. She could she could be running her own show.
But she could be, but her only real tool that she has is her looks. That's
I think she knows
kind of what
he
he's
knows
saying.
how smart she is, because he says good enough to run her own show, meaning that she's also very like good at her job. But
that's a secondary thing. She's
Yeah.
pretty. She can use that. She can manipulate guys and clients because she's pretty.
But not Zwagenhoff, because he's too smart.
That's right.
Right.
Anyway, Steele tells the detectives that they aren't working for Dowd. Come on, Zwagenhoff says. The guy in the car matches the description. Or what? You just lent him the car. The car was stolen, Laura retorts. It happens in this city.
She's not lying. The car was stolen.
It was, absolutely. See, again, that's one of those things where you're telling the absolute truth and you know what they're going to conclude
She's
by
just
that
leaving
statement,
out.
but it's not what really happened, but you
She's
didn't
leaving out
lie.
some other stuff. But yeah, she did not give him permission to take that car. He took that car without permission. That is stealing.
That's right.
So
Anyway, pointedly, he says, the question is, what happened to Laura? She would have never pulled a stunt like this at Havenhurst. And sitting in the passenger seat, cleaning the lenses of his sunglasses with his tie, Steele, without looking up, says, something tells me you've got a point, Zwagenheel.
I love that. Zwagenheel, like he deliberately goes out of his way to get the guy's name wrong, and also inserts an insult in the bargain.
Yes.
Which I like.
Zwagenheel. Hey, I like that. Zwagenheel smirks as he walks around to the passenger's side to address Steele. He states that his name, for emphasis, is Zwagenhoff, and then tells Steele that he does have a point. Somebody offed that guy in that apartment back there, and Zwagendorf thinks it was Dowd. And he thinks maybe Lauren Steele know where he's at. Well, Steele puts on his sunglasses, still refusing to acknowledge Zwagendorf. And
okay,
Laura...
now we're getting into Benedict Cumbercuquot territory here. Have you seen you probably don't know anything about this. Okay, you know who Benedict Cumberbatch is, right?
Yeah, he played Sherlock.
Yeah, exactly.
On the series Sherlock, yeah.
Somebody came up with this. I don't know if it's still there. I'm Googling it right now. It's still there. Okay. Someone came up with this Benedict Cumberbatch name generator. And basically, you click on it, and it gives you it basically mangles his name and comes up with something like burglary cuckoo clock is the first thing that comes up here. Bunsen burner camel toe. Syphilis camouflage. Broccoli cummerbund. Bumbleshack Charmander. Buckyball custard wheel. And you can just keep doing it, and it'll keep giving you like really bizarre variations of his name, like Blubber Dick Crumplehorn. So the more you mangle Zwagenhoff's name, the more I think Bumbledick Crumplehorn, and I love it. Thank you for doing that.
Well, I still got one more. Laura puts on her hat and then expressionally looks at Zwagendum, and he reminds them that harboring a fugitive is a felony in this state. Actually, it's a felony pretty much anywhere in the country.
I was going to say, it's probably a felony everywhere, I would think, but...
Yeah. And Steele says, we're aware of that. And then he finally glances at the detective as he rolls up the car window. Which is totally pointless since the convertible top is down. It's an insult to Zwagenhoff,
and
the insult is not lost on him.
No, Steele, I love the way Steele deals with this guy, because he's not even, in the past, he might have even gotten a little jealous because there's clearly some sort of history, even if it wasn't romantic between him and Laura. But he doesn't even think that this guy is worth acknowledging, or just even, he's not even worth insulting. He just kind of doesn't even look at him.
Except for the one. Yeah, that's why I can
the one time. But then he just like basically treats him like a fly that's buzzing around his head, which I got a kick out of.
For almost the entire conversation, he doesn't even look at the guy.
Nope. He's inconsequential.
And then to close the conversation, he raises the window on a convertible.
Like, I'm going to go out of my way to do this to show just how pointless you are. Kind of like how pointless it is for me to roll up this window.
Yes, right. And Zwagenhoff says 3 years is a long time to be away, as he's attempting to get them to crack. Not too good for business either, he opines. Laura starts the car and coldly tells him, "Thank you for the friendly reminder." And Zwagenhoff sarcastically calls out after her that, "Hey, he's a friendly guy." Well, Laura backs out the rabbit from Laura backs out the rabbit from the dumpster, and as she does, the front passenger side fender falls off. She stops, gives Steele an astonished look as he peers up over the windshield at the wayward part.
This poor car. They're going to get to the mechanic, and he's just going to be like,
"Again?"
"Well, we're going to be able to put another one through college. The rabbit's back, you know."
Steele opens his door, steps part of the way out of the car, hesitates, glances over toward Zwagenhoff, who has a silly grin on his face, and then with as much dignity as he can muster, Steele steps over to the fender, picks it up, walks back to his car door, gets in, and holds the fender in front of him as he sits in the seat.
This is
very dignified.
I just love like some of these visual gags that they do on this show that are very, very funny and not at all relevant to the plot. This didn't need to be here, but it's just so the way that he carries himself, the look on his face, the fact that he puts it in the seat, and then it's just funny.
Yes. Anyway. Well, next, Laura and Steele return to the office only to be greeted by Mildred telling them that they've got trouble. She gestures towards Steele's office and accompanies them as they walk in and discover Vinny kicked back in a chair, feet up, reading a newspaper.
At least the window's intact.
Yeah. He jumps up when he hears them enter, tosses the paper, and then turns to them, apologizing about the car. He panicked. Steele tells him that the car can be fixed, but his alibi needs tending to. And Vinny seems confused. Well, didn't Frank vouch for him? Frank won't be vouching for anyone anymore, they tell him. He was murdered. And, of course, Vinny is shocked at the news. And then just then, Nidro rushes in to tell Vinny that Frank Dunn is dead, and the police came to the house, and they think he killed Frank. Vinny looks at Steele, concern on his face. Remington murmurs that proving Vinny didn't kidnap LeBlanc no longer seems to be a viable solution. Nope. Mildred half jokes that Steele and Laura have their work cut out for them, don't they? Yeah. And annoyed Steele asks, "Us kids? Whatever happened to that team spirit?" It waned.
Yeah, it waned when they asked her to babysit a turtle. Like, she's at this point.
It could have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Steele huffs. Laura sidesteps Mildred's abandonment of the cause, admitting that whatever they do, it won't be easy with Zwagenhoff braiding down their necks. She says she misnames him, and Hoff, Steele corrects her. Zwagenhoff, she repeats with slight annoyance. Steele realizes that they need to hide Vinny somewhere before he causes any more mayhem. The question is, where? I just had a thought. Oh, who's it? What insurance company? That guy that does the mayhem commercials for the insurance.
Oh, yeah.
That seems to be, that's Vinny.
This is Vinny. Yeah, this is Vinny. Well, like you said, yeah, I didn't make the Bing connection, but the minute you said it, I was like, oh yeah, he destroys everything in sight. But he's a lot more likable than Bing. He's just sort of
more pathetic.
Yeah, this is what they should have done with Bing. Like, they should have leaned into the patheticness instead of the
obnoxiousness.
Whatever. I don't care. Like,
Put it on my bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to bill me for defective merchandise?
Yeah. Ugh.
Anyway,
Poor
at the
Vinny.
question of where to hide Vinny, a slightly pained look crosses Laura's face. Steele's question has prompted an idea, but she is clearly conflicted. After a moment, she acknowledges that she's going to regret this,
Oh,
but
yeah.
her sister is away on vacation with her family, and her place is empty.
Definitely going to regret it. 1,000%.
She lets the statement hang in the air, not quite wanting to complete the thought, lest she responsible for the actually making the suggestion and is responsible for the consequences. But of course, Vinny picks up on the unspoken offer, saying, Nedra and he can camp out there. No, Nedra's going home, Laura says. And Nedra demands to know why. Steele tells her that the police are likely still watching their house, and it would be suspicious if she were to suddenly disappear. And Vinny wants to know who's going to stick with him. Steele and Laura slowly look at each other, evil grins on their faces, and then they turn to look at Mildred. Welcome back to the team.
Is babysitting Vinny a step up from Turtle? Or is that a lateral
That might be a lateral move.
So I'm thinking the Turtle probably causes less trouble than Vinny.
That's true.
So,
Although he can't hold up a conversation quite as well.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, we are now at an exercise gym. Laura and Steele are looking for Mrs. Heather LeBlanc.
Oh no, this isn't. Okay, sorry. For a minute there, I thought it was the other place, but this is.
No.
Yeah.
That is, they're looking for Mrs. LeBlanc if Steele can stop ogling the other scantily clad women.
Definitely, his eyes are wandering for sure.
Yes. Steele introduces themselves, and then Laura tells the woman that they'd like to ask her a few questions. And she assumes that they're interested in the gym's facilities and services, or whatever those services might be. And she asks if they're interested in bulking up or just redefining what they've got. And Steele grins. I'm not sure what he's thinking, but he grins.
Not sure either, but yeah.
Laura starts to clarify, but Miss LeBlanc continues on, undeterred, telling Laura that she looks to be in pretty good shape, but a little more bulk wouldn't hurt. On the other hand, Steele could definitely use a little more bulk.
This is funny on two levels. One, because we know Laura's an athlete and she does work out and she does run and she does all this stuff, and Steele gets winded going upstairs. So it's funny on that level, but it's also funny on the level that the 80s were a weird time for male leading men. They were either Schwarzenegger or they were Michael J. Fox. Like, they were either super burly, brawny dudes or they were skinny, smaller guys.
I wouldn't have used Schwarzenegger. I'd have used
Stallone, Van Damme. Like, these are all your action heroes that were...
Tom Selleck.
True, but like these are all sort of bigger guys is my point.
Right.
And then you've got like people like Matthew Broderick or Michael J. Fox or, you know, some of these small, like Tom Cruise even, because he's not that tall and he's more on the leaner side. So there's sort of two kind of like competing types of leading men, and Steele or Brosnan obviously was on that leaner side as well. Not that he needs any bulk. He's a very handsome man, but it's just funny to hear this woman look at Laura and she's like, no, you're good. You can bulk a little bit, but you definitely need some muscles.
But he doesn't need them because he's got the looks.
No, he's got the looks. Happy birthday, Pierce. You still have the looks. Just saying.
Anyway, where were we? Yes. As she's telling Steele that he could definitely use a little more bulk, he glances down at himself, opens his jacket to show off his proportions as he does, and then jokingly tells her that he prefers the lean look. It's easier on his tailor.
Yeah.
Laura tells the woman that they are private investigators looking into her husband's murder. Well, she gets a hard look on her face and says the police told her that animal had escaped. She begins walking away from them to assist a gym patron, and they follow. And Laura states that it's as impossible as it might be to hear, but it's possible that animal was falsely convicted. Heather flatly states that she doesn't believe that. And Steele tells her that he doesn't mean to sound impertinent, but if the man who was convicted of kidnapping her husband were innocent, Is there anyone she can think of who might bear a grudge up against Lance?
I know that obviously all these characters have something to hide, right?
Mhm.
But if she had, this would come across as really insensitive if it were a cut and dry situation of
Mhm.
like this person was convicted and now they're showing up and saying, hey, if he didn't really do it, anyone else might have done it.
Well, people do that all the time. I mean, there's whole podcasts
I know,
devoted to doing that.
Yeah.
And there's ways of asking the question that would soften it a bit. And I think Steele did a pretty good job of saying it here and trying to soften it, saying, if this were the case, is there somebody else who might have been
fair enough?
Somebody who would have been a suspect? Well, Heather decides that maybe she should lawyer up, which is always a sign of
that's not good.
Either guilt or intelligence. It depends on whether they're guilty or not. But
well, but in this case,
saying,
though,
even the innocent need lawyers more than the guilty.
Yeah, but in this case, though, it looks more guilty than anything else because they're only asking if she knows of anyone who'd want to hurt her husband. They're not asking. They're not implicating
they're not accusing
her in anything.
Yeah, no, they're just saying, hey, if there was somebody else, yeah.
Yeah, to immediately assume she needs legal representation, that would be throwing off alarm bells in my head if I were Steele and Laura, because why would you?
Yeah.
At this point, no.
Yeah. Well, she begins to walk away again, this time more to remove herself from the conversation than to find a client to assist. And as Steele and Laura follow, Laura gently pleads that it's important, that a man's life may be at stake. Well, recognizing that they're not going to drop the conversation until she gives a more definitive response, she decides to go a bit over the top, declaring that it's inconceivable that anyone could have possibly had a grudge against Lance. He was a star. Everybody loved him. And the only thing she can think of is that some sicko got it into his head that he could get rich quick by kidnapping her husband.
Yeah, this is really over the top. But also, anytime anybody says the word inconceivable in anything on TV or movies, all I can think of is
Suspect them.
No. Actually, all I can think of is The Princess Bride, which is a movie where it's a fantasy film, but there's a whole sequence where the characters have kidnapped the princess and they're trying to get away, these bad guys, and the one character played by Mandy Patinkin keeps asking, do you think anyone's following us? And the other character says it's inconceivable. And then he asks him again. He says, inconceivable. And he asks him again, inconceivable. And eventually he says, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. So now whenever I hear anyone say inconceivable, I think, you'll keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Yeah, and there's a myth about that movie. A lot of people think that it's either the movie or the book. A lot of people think that there were parts of it left out.
Okay, so this is...
But it wasn't, because that's what the author actually writes or has one of the characters say is, I'm telling you this story, young man, but I'm going to leave out parts.
So this is the book. The movie doesn't do this, but the book does this, because literally the book is the author writing the story as if he had been read the story as a child, and then he wanted to read the story to his own child, but when he found the text, he realized his dad had left out parts, and it was the boring parts, so he's only going to read the good parts. I used to teach this book. It was one of my students' options in one of my English classes, because it's kind of a satire of fairy tales, and I would tell them that if they could find the original S. Morgenstern and compare it, then they'd get a higher mark. And, they'd attempt it sort of half-heartedly and give up. I had one kid come to me like halfway through the course, or like 2 months into the semester. Miss, I can't find this book anywhere. I've gone to the library. I've gone to the university. I've asked bookstores. And I'm just like, oh no, I'm so sorry.
Did you actually read the book? Because it gives you the answer in the book.
No, actually, it doesn't. The book at no point does the book ever state that S. Morgenstern didn't exist. It's not even at the end. The author, William Goldman, writes it as if it's a straight fact that he's just using the good parts. And so you're like, huh. But I had read his autobiography, Which Lie Did I Tell? And I'd seen the movie, and the movie sort of structured the same way. So it I knew, but this poor kid. Anyway.
So he has an autobiography out?
Well, I don't know if it was
and he says all this in the autobiography?
Yeah, the book is called Which Lie Did I Tell? And it's he wrote I don't know if it was a memoir or if it was an autobiography, but he did write it. Mm-hmm. It's called More Adventures in the Screen Trade, and it's basically just about his life as a screenwriter. Mm-hmm. It was his second book. He had written one called Adventures in the Screen Trade in 1982, and then he wrote another one as a follow-up to kind of like add to it because he had done more books, and he devotes an entire chunk to The Princess Bride because it says here, Goldman then tells the unfortunate story of how he became mixed up in the film adaptation of Memoirs of an Invisible Man before the saving grace of The Princess Bride brought him his first screen credit in nearly 9 years. And so that basically tells the whole like background to The Princess Bride, it getting made into a film and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Anyway, let's see, where were we here?
Sorry. I derailed that, but Inconceivable always makes me think of The Princess Bride.
Yes, Laura says that a man's life may be at stake. Not dropping the conversation. Okay, so yes, Laura asks if there was anything that happened either before or after the kidnapping that she might have neglected to tell the police. With a prove I'm lying attitude, Heather says, no, not really. And, that also should be kind of a red flag because Laura did not accuse her of holding back with information. She asked if there was anything that she neglected to tell because she might have forgotten it. So, yeah, it's this woman's throwing out red flags all over the place.
Yeah, she's a walking red flag.
Anyway, Laura gives Heather a business card asking her to call if she thinks of anything. And each side turns away from the other, with Heather having a concerned look on her face. As Laura and Steele head out, Steele stops at a rack of hand weights and, trying to show off, grabs one for each hand, then begins swinging them in an alternating rhythm, except he lets go of one on the backswing and it goes flying. And Steele stiffens in embarrassment, and Heather gives him a contemptuous look as she reaches for the phone.
So funny because he's like trying to just like look like he knows what he's doing, and then he just throws him backwards. And it's funny because what's funny about it is that it would be funny if he were not as good looking as he is, right? But you've got this man who is objectively very handsome and doesn't need to be super macho, muscle bound dude who's pretending he knows what he's doing just because she made that offhanded comment about him needing more bulk.
and him pretending to know what he's doing makes it all the more funnier.
It just makes it funnier because he's obviously never lifted weights in his life.
That's right. Well, Heather blindly, I tell you, dials a phone number, which must have been a long distance number because the first number she dials is a 1. As Steele fumbles trying to return the weights to the rack, or at least the one that he didn't throw away. And as Laura and Steele finally exits, Heather speaks on the phone, telling the person on the other end that they've got trouble. Remember that phrase.
Yep.
In the limo, Steele is recounting that, according to the newspaper accounts, the last person to see Lance LeBlanc was a fellow named Tony Petz. Petz used to work for the LeBlancs, and now he's about to open his own gym. Just what the city needs. Another health club, Laura says dismissively. Well, next they arrive at the aerobatorium.
Yeah, this is,
what a name.
I had to say this a few times out loud because I'm like, aerobatorium? Aerobatorium? Okay. Do you want people coming to your establishment? Because this is going to be a marketing nightmare. It really is.
Well, I mean, it's unique. It's memorable in that it's unique. It's memorable in that it's not pronounceable.
Yeah, exactly. Like I get that he's going for aerobics and what's the torium part that he's trying to attach this to is what I'm wondering.
Auditorium.
Because
gymatorium. I don't know.
It's supposed to be this kind of like weird immersive experience.
Mhm.
I don't know. There's got to be a better name than a robotorium, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, there's a huge sign on the side of the building that reads "Grand Opening," and inside, Tony Pets is on a rowing machine. It's placed in front of a photographic background of a jungle, enhanced with a few fake plants. As he explains to Laura and Remington as he's rowing, that he could just be in another health club in town. But then, check this out. He reaches over and presses a button on a small box, similar to what one might find in a drive-in movie theater for sound. And suddenly, jungle sounds can be heard.
This is so ridiculous. This is so silly. It
is.
And it says grand opening, but there's nobody in the building, and it's clear that it's not even built. Like, it's not even fully finished yet. So what is happening? I don't think he's the best businessman, is what I'm getting at here. I don't know that he's... Like, do you care if you're in a jungle while you're on the rowing machine? Does it matter if you're in Hawaii? Like, I just can't.
I'll drop it in here. It actually is later in my notes, but since you bring it up, we'll go ahead and go this. The idea that some people might think they are working out in all of these different places around the world because a photographic background and some sound effects are there would be funny if it weren't so pathetically true. I mean, we have thousands of so-called social media influencers who not only sell the idea that they're living the high life because they can fake photos of themselves or videos of themselves doing these seemingly amazing things in amazing places, but many of them, worse, seem to believe that their own fakery is somehow genuine. You know, they pose. Yeah. I saw a meme that just kind of illustrates this perfectly. And on the one side, you see this person seemingly flying up over the clouds, looking out through the window of a jet airliner. And in the next, you see that what's actually happening is the person is in front of a background holding up a toilet seat that looks like the shape of a window. It's all fake. You know, people in social media get caught all the time. Oh, look at what I've got. No, you rented it for 5 hours that day for the photo shoot. You know.
What's worse are the ones that try to use their quote unquote influencer clout and then offer back exposure. I saw a TikTok video of this guy who, and admittedly, he does have a very large following, but he wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about being in a cafe, and there was someone beside him who was like filming something while she was eating her meal. And then when the bill came, she basically said, well, I think it was something like 40,000 followers. So you should give this to me for free and I'll use it as exposure. And the lady was like, sorry, but you need to pay for your meal. And she basically threw a hissy fit. And this guy who was making the TikTok, he was like, ma'am, I have over 1 million followers. And at no point would I ever consider myself famous enough to try to exchange a muffin for clout. You need to sit down.
Well, I think if this is the same story I'm thinking of, the so-called influencer actually tried to destroy the business on social media by
there's a few that have done
ripping
that.
it. Yeah. But you know, the whole thing reminds me of the video gaming mentality where people who genuinely think that they're great ball players or great soldiers or great race drivers or whatnot because they can push the correct buttons on a game console controller quicker than anyone else. And some of these people have actually gotten themselves into some pretty serious situations by assuming that their ability to punch a button on a controller translates into actually being able to do the thing.
Well, maybe Tony's got his finger on the pulse of a new craze.
Finger on the that's bad.
Just go with me on this.
That's bad.
And also, okay, his name is Tony Pets, as in like a pet that you take care of, correct?
Petz.
Yeah. Oh, okay, Pets. Okay. Does Laura say at one point? Does Laura call him Pex? As in his...
Yes.
Okay.
That's in my notes too.
Okay. I was confused because I was like, wait, did I get the name wrong? And then they go back to calling him Pets, and I'm like, that's good. If that's a joke, that's funny.
That's a joke. That's with Laura being yummy.
I don't think she was sizing him up. I think she was.
Oh, you are so wrong.
I think it was
you
more
are
sarcasm.
so wrong.
I don't think she
not
saw
obviously,
this.
not obviously sizing up, but definitely in her mind, she was. Yeah, she was. Yes.
I don't think so. But
Anyway.
maybe it's something about that name Tony. I don't know. Too soon.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, don't go there. Don't go there.
Oh, we're getting there. We're going to be there soon. So.
Anyway, as I said, he pushes a button similar to on a box similar you might find at a drive-in movie theater for sound, and suddenly the jungle sounds can be heard. He adjusts the volume, and the gym is filled with the sounds of flowing water, jungle birds calling, and other sounds of nature.
So wouldn't that annoy everybody else around you? Because if you're in Hawaii and you can hear the monkeys over in Brazil,
In
like,
Borneo,
I don't know about you, but I'd be irritated.
Yes. Well, Steele grins, presumably at the cheesiness of it. Laura is stunned, but definitely not in a positive manner.
No.
And Pet stands, turns off the sounds, and explains that, it still has a few bugs, like the people in Hawaii or in the space scene. They can still hear this. My question is, was the few bugs, was that a bad pun about South America or something like that? Jungle bugs?
I wondered that too, but you would think the better way to do this would be with headphones.
Yes.
They put on headphones as they're doing, because that would interfere if it's a rowing machine, your headphones.
Although, I haven't seen it brought out in the marketplace. Presumably because of the cost. I remember about, I don't know, it must be 20, maybe 30 years ago now. I remember reading an article in an audio magazine that somebody had developed a system where they could actually focus sound to a very, very specific area, similar to what they can do with a light beam. I don't know if it was I don't remember when it was published. It could have been an April Fool's joke, but I don't recall it being taken that way. So, I mean, there might be some technology that he's employing that could help focus that sound. But anyway, yes, you're right. Headphones would definitely be a better choice.
Yeah.
And calling it a total environmental experience,
right.
Tony Petts enthuses that working out now becomes an adventure, a fantasy. And he leads them through the various themed areas. If somebody doesn't like the jungle theme, they've got space. And if space isn't someone's thing, they've got Hawaii. And within the month, their Circle Vision pool will be completed so patrons can imagine swimming anywhere in the world without leaving the club.
Yeah, I can't tell you how much it's always been my dream to work out on the moon like that. Yeah. Wow.
Well, hey,
finally,
you're 40% lighter. You don't have to lose weight now.
It's not my dream to work out anywhere, frankly.
Well, that's
so adding the moon is not going to draw me in. Put me in a bakery with real baked goods, and that maybe
waft in the smell of fresh bread.
Exactly, and then I'm just gonna do what I do, and then I'm gonna leave and go and get some cupcakes. But
cinnamon rolls.
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
Laura asks the obvious question: what does any of this have to do with exercise? Well, Tony scoffs. They're not selling exercise; they're selling lifestyle. If she wants exercise, drop and do 30. But if you want to be part of what's happening, you got to join the aerobatorium.
See, I want to say arboretum, which is wrong.
I almost said that, yes.
I'm never going to say it right.
And as soon as this place catches on, he's going to make millions. Well, Steele lightheartedly tells Tony that he hopes he's put away a little bit of something for the day until the aerobatorium becomes successful. Well, Tony doesn't find any humor in that. He says, this place has got to make it. And Laura prompts him to talk about Lance LeBlanc. Tony grins. Tony gave him his start. He was a 98-pound weakling until he met Lance. Did he get that line from one of those Charles Atlas ads at the back of the old-time comic books?
I always saw them in Archie comic books, but yeah, same idea.
Yeah. And they were Charles Atlas ads. They literally said, I was a 98-pound weakling until I met Charles Atlas.
Yeah.
Well, Tony walks over to a machine, reaches up to grab the grips, and starts doing suspended leg lifts. and continues explaining that Lance was the first bodybuilder to break away from the all brawn, no brain syndrome. Chicks loved the guy. Yeah, he drops back down to the ground and motions for Steele to emulate. Steele grabs the grips and pulls himself up off the floor slightly, but then struggles to do anything beyond that. And through his struggles, he grunts out that, according to his wife, everybody loved the guy. And off to the side, Laura is trying hard to suppress a grin as she gestures up with her hands.
She's just like, she's trying to help him out. Bless him. Yes.
And bless his heart.
This is a bless his heart moment. This is a, oh, look, he's trying. He's giving it a shot.
Bless his heart. Well, that's just the kind of guy Lance was, Tony says. As Steele gives up the fight, drops the very short distance back to the ground and releases the grips.
Yeah.
And since Tony was the last person to see Lance on the night that he was kidnapped, they asked him to recount the event. Well, Tony was working for him at the time. It was about 5 o'clock in the evening. Gym was closed. He went out, and apparently the poor guy never made it out to his car. But Tony didn't see anything. When Lance went out, Tony went to take a shower. No, Lance went out, Tony went to take a shower. Got it right. Okay. I was confused there. I about lost my mind. Yeah. I panicked.
I panicked. Sorry, I panicked.
Now, the trio then walk into Tony's office. When Laura asks if he can think of anyone who might have had a reason to kidnap Lance, Tony mimics Heather's dismissal of the idea, repeating that Lance was a great guy with a killer body. It was just probably one of those freak things. And what? Like getting hit with a meteorite? Yeah. Getting bit by a radioactive spider and gaining superpowers? Freak thing?
But also, it's weird to me that he says he was a great guy with a killer body, as if that's a reason not to kill someone. Like, yeah. I'm not saying it's weird to say that about another guy, because obviously as a bodybuilder, that's something you're going to notice about another, right? But like, he's using this as a reason why you wouldn't want to kill him. No, there'd be no reason. He was a great guy with a killer body. Like, okay. And like,
why would anybody kill him? He had a cool car.
He had a great body. Why would you kill him?
But but calling it a freak thing, I mean, getting kidnapped and murdered, that's not a freak thing.
No. Yeah. The freak thing is like when you
get bit by a radioactive spider, get superpowers. Yeah.
Yeah. Or when you see some guy doing push-ups off his Jeep in a gas station. Remember when I saw that's a freak thing. This not so much. This sounds like a plan, you know?
Yes. Well, as Tony admires himself in a mirror, Steele observes
he's
that
literally standing in front of the mirror like he'd be making out with it. If Steele wasn't in the room, he'd be making out with that mirror and saying, "Hey, right. You're hot. You're a hot man. Hey, hot stuff." Like he's very much in love with himself.
Yes. Steele observes that the theory that everybody loved the guy and that it was just some sort of a freak incident seems to be the common consensus.
Yeah.
And as she is looking at the mirror at Pets, Laura says, "Thank you," calling him Mr. Pex by mistake, because he's in there flexing.
I took this as sarcasm. I took this as sarcasm.
No,
I did not take this as attraction.
No, that is her mind wandering down below the water. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna have to throw this. We're gonna have to throw this out to the Steele watchers to weigh on this, because I took it as sarcasm.
You don't want to do that because you are going to get humiliated.
All right, everybody, when you listen to this, comment in the Facebook group if you're in the Facebook group. Is she being sarcastic or is she salivating? We need to know.
Salivating, yes. I mean, the only thing she's missing is the napkin to wipe the drool off her chin. Anyway, as Laura and Steele walk toward the door, Laura exits, but Steele hangs back and then closes the door to keep the impending exchange quiet. He asks Tony, if I were to bulk up a bit, do you suppose I might make out better with the chicks?
Okay, hearing him say chicks is probably my favorite thing in this episode, because he just says it so, like, he sounds like, "Hello, fellow kids. I'm trying to talk like a young person." Like, would I work out better with the chicks? Like, no. It's like hearing him say babe. It just doesn't work. It's not him.
Well, Tony, still admiring himself in the mirror, laughs, Are you kidding?
Barely.
Guaranteed. And then sounding a bit nervous, Steele asks, you guys do pretty well, huh? And Steele grins stupidly like a kid when Tony calls that the understatement of the year, asking if Steele really thinks that money's the only reason he's in this business. And then Steele laughs, suggesting that, well, Lance must not have known what he was missing. Well, Tony doesn't seem to know what Steele means. Marriage, being tied down, all that kind of thing, Steele observes. Tony laughs, telling Steele that he'll let him in on a little secret. Then asks if Steele knew where Lance was supposed to go the night that he was snatched. Tuttles. Restaurant? Steele asks, confused. No, a mansion in Beverly Hills. And Tony doesn't think Lance was ordering off the menu, if you know what I mean.
This whole bit, obviously he didn't talk to Laura ahead of time about it because she comes back in wondering what the heck happened to him. But this is really smart to come back to talk to Tony and pretend that I don't think Steele's really interested in bulking up, but but that whole
playing up to his ego and
playing up to the ego, the attempted male bonding, the comment about, hey, does this help you get women? And then leading into the, oh, well, Lance, I guess what a dummy to get married. I mean, what a moron, right? He just basically saw the stupidity of Tony Petz and let him walk right into what he wanted to know. And it's really well done. It's quite masterful. So I got to say, compared to Laura's attempts at undercover, which are not always the most subtle, Steele does a really good job here with getting this information from Tony.
Well, Laura does peek in through the window of the door to the office, then steps in, calls to Steele, and gives him a "Are you coming?" gesture.
Yeah.
And as they start to leave, Tony calls out to Steele hey, the next time he wants to work up an appetite. And he gives Steele a point of his finger, and Steele points back, saying, "Gotcha." Then he and Laura leave, but not before Laura gives him an inquisitive look. And then once the door closes, Tony frowns. He walks to the phone, picks up the receiver, and dials. And after a moment, he says, We've got trouble.
Yeah.
Well, at the Piper residence, Vinny is joyously cooking, singing, and calling out, "Spaghetti for two!"
That's apparently the only thing anybody ever cooks in this house, because the last time we saw Laura cooking, it was her special spaghetti, and now Vinny's
That's right.
spaghetti.
Mildred can't believe it. She tries to be upset with him, but his attitude is too infectious. So when she asks, how can he be so jolly when he's in the jam that he's in, it comes out almost more admiring than distressed.
Yeah.
And he looks up from his cooking and with a grin reminds her that, hey, he's supposed to be dead.
I can see where Vinny's coming from here, in the sense that if
it could have been worse.
He did not expect to still be alive. So for him, there's at least still hope, as opposed to the alternative, which would have been he's dead and
he's already in the box 6 feet under the ground.
He's already 6 feet under the ground. So yeah.
Yes. Well, Mildred suggests that at this point he's not much better off, and as you said, Vinny tells her quite optimistically, at least there's hope.
Yeah.
And he scoops up a bit of spaghetti sauce into a spoon and hands it to Mildred to taste test. She tastes it, frowns, and hands the spoon back, saying it needs salt. Vinny takes a taste.
He looks almost offended by her suggestion that it needs salt.
Yeah. Salt, no. Oregano, maybe. But salt, no.
Yeah.
Voila. At least that spices things up a bit, eh? And then suddenly shots ring out. A round shatters the kitchen window and the saucepan lid goes flying from Vinny's hand.
I mean, if Frances was upset before that somebody had the audacity to just die in her kitchen, the fact that there are bullet holes in the wall are really going to piss her off.
Oh, yes. Well, Mildred yells, "Hit the deck," as she dives behind the kitchen island, and then Vinny runs around to join her. More shots ring out, shattering windows and glasses. Then the shots stop. Mildred and Vinny rise up to peer over the top of the cabinet, and then they see an arm shrouded in a large green rubberized jacket and a hand covered in a glove shatter the window at the back door, then reach through to turn the knob. Mildred hollers, "Vinny, run!" They rise, turn, and run out of the kitchen into the living room. Next, we see that the garage door is opening, but before the motorized opener has a chance to open it completely, the Piper station wagon peels out of the garage, ripping the door off the track, carrying it down the street, where the car reverses direction, then races off down the street, leaving the garage door behind.
Oh, that car, poor. I mean, it's one thing for Laura to destroy the rabbit every other week. But now Francis's car has become a casualty.
Well, and their garage door, their kitchen, their dining room.
Oof.
Well, we see the heretofore unseen man run out of the garage wearing that same green jacket and gloves and holding a pistol.
Yeah.
To me, those shots in the kitchen sounded like a rifle. I could be wrong, but to me, they sound more like a rifle. At any rate,
I would not ever know the difference, so they're clearly hoping for viewers like myself who just noticed gun.
yes. Well, a pistol has a less low end on the initial crack than
Sure.
the rifle does. Anyway, at any rate, the station wagon is too far down the street and rounding the corner for the man to do anything about it. So in frustration, he turns and runs back into the garage and then to the house. He runs into the kitchen, grabs the phone, dials, and then after a moment says those three simple words we've come to know and love so well. We've got trouble. Right here in River City. It's capital T and it rhymes with P and that stands for pool. That stands for pool. No, sorry. Music Man. My oldest son loved that movie when he was a kid. And I was in the orchestra when we did that in high school.
Oh, cool.
Loved that show. Loved being in the orchestra for the musicals.
What did you play?
Trombone.
Oh, okay. I could see that. I was a flautist.
You shouldn't admit something like that out in public.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, playing the flute at the time that I did was the wrong choice because that was the time that the movie American Pie came out. And there is a...
Right over my head.
So Allison Hannigan, who plays Willow on Buffy, was also in that film.
Of course, there has to be a Buffy reference.
No, this is an American Pie reference because she's in that film and she plays
but you said Buffy. The word came out of your mouth.
Because you would know who that is. That's the only reason I said... Anyway.
I got to find a Home Improvement reference in this episode somewhere. I've got to find one.
She plays a band geek in that film, and she keeps telling stories about having been to band camp over the summer, and they're always like extremely overly sexualized stories to the point where they're like quite shocking. And one of her more well-known lines that people would come up to quote to me all the time because I play the flute was, and I'm not going to say the whole thing because it's. One time at band camp, I stuck a flute up my fill in the blank here. And
Hoo-ha.
People, when it starts with a P, you get, So so people would say, oh, hey, you play the flute. Did you stick it? No, I didn't go to band camp and I didn't. No, just stop. Just stop. I regretted my choice of instrument after that film came out. That would hurt. Okay. Going back to the Dr. What's her face from Steele in the Air. Yeah. There's certain things that just should not go up there. And that's all I'm going to say.
Well, we come back from a commercial and we see the limo pull up to the Piper residence only to find several police cars and a small crowd of onlookers. Laura, mouth hanging agape, gets out, followed by Steele, who takes off his sunglasses. The classic gesture of someone who wants to show that they are serious and concerned, whether they are or not. Yeah. Steele raises her hand to her face and then exclaims, "Good Lord, wait till Francis sees this." Oh, never mind Francis, Steele challenges. What about Mildred and Vinny?
Yeah. And it's funny that's the first thing that Laura thought of. Not, hey, are Mildred and Vinny okay?
Francis is going to kill me.
That's funny.
Anyway, a look of concern crosses Laura's features, and then the two rush into the house where they find officers pulling bullets out of the wall of the kitchen, and Detective Zwigenhoff eating spaghetti
He's
out of the pot
himself.
on the stove, which really, really dumb. Glass shatters when it's hit by things like bullets. It sends fragments, shards, slivers everywhere.
Yep.
How does he know that he's not going to get a piece of glass in the bite that he takes?
Maybe if we're lucky, it tears up his stomach lining as it goes all the way down.
That's true.
There was one particular time where a particular politician that I deeply dislike, I won't name names, but he's the provincial premier, and he was doing a press conference, and he swallowed a live bee as he was talking. Like he was speaking, and then I've just swallowed a bee, and I thought, sorry, it made me happy. So maybe Zwigenhoff will have something similar take place, and that shard will hurt.
Yes. Well, Anyway, Zwigenhoff, trying to be funny, tells Laura that they have to stop meeting like this. Laura is not amused.
No.
Zwigenhoff points to the pot, observing that someone was working on a delicious meal. Shame it had to go to waste.
What a jerk.
Steele is walking through the kitchen toward the back door when Zwigenhoff calls out to him and then says that there's no bodies here. Nobody was killed. He dips a piece of bread into the sauce and pops it into his mouth as he reports that there was nobody here at all by the time the police arrived. So you just let yourself in, Steele accuses.
Yeah, because, I mean, well, I guess if they had cause with gunshots, that makes sense, but still.
Well,
helping himself doesn't.
Well, Zwigenhoff says, well, the key was in the mat, as if that makes it all okay. And I'm not sure that they really had cause to enter the house.
I think if they believe somebody to be in danger, they can go in. And if the neighbors reported gunshots, that probably they could use that as their excuse. Although, to be fair, getting there and not hearing any gunshots,
I think the key word there is excuse.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's 100% an excuse. Yeah, absolutely.
See, and that's the things, a lot of people don't understand the difference between a reason and an excuse. A reason is justified. An excuse is, well, I've got to say something to make it seem like I was justified. So I'll just,
No, this is 100% a technicality that he.
Yes. But when he says the key was under the mat, he says it like, well, that makes it all okay.
Yeah. What a complete jerk.
Yes. Anyway, he continues. No, I don't either. I think we've probably got good reason to not like him, but maybe not. I don't know.
Even if he wasn't the villain, I just don't like him.
Yes. He continues saying that it looks like they had quite a wild party here, though, of course, the neighbors weren't too happy about it. They didn't mind all the singing. It was the gunshots that bothered them. And he pulls out a notepad from his pocket and begins reading. Donald Piper, dentist. Wife, the former Frances Holt. That would make her, what, your sister, he says to Laura. And then just then, the clatter of glass dishes being dropped cuts through the room, sending Laura's already sky-high tension into orbit. She rushes over to the oaf of a police officer who is doing his impression of the proverbial bull in the china shop and hollers at him to please be careful. Steele, trying to calm her, says the wrong thing. It's a little bit too late for that. I'm sorry, that's not helping, Steele. That doesn't really help right now.
No, that's not useful. Not useful at all.
Well, Zwigenhoff's prior attempts at badgering having failed, he starts mixing in a little sarcasm, telling Laura that things aren't adding up too well for her and Mr. GQ here, referring to Steele. He says that he knows they're working for Dowd. He knows that Dowd was here, and he suspects that Francis isn't going to be too happy with the way he left the place. And indignant, Laura retorts that, well, his boys aren't doing much better.
Yeah, right?
That's the thing is that there have been instances where the police will raid a house. They'll just knock out every door and window, basically destroy the place. And they were at the wrong address. So they destroyed an innocent person's home.
Yeah.
And their response is, not our problem. That really bugs me when that happens.
I felt the same way when they basically tore through our car at customs that one time where we said that we hadn't spent any money, and we hadn't, but they didn't have any, they didn't care whether or not they ripped the car or something. It was just a secondary thing to we're going to look through all your stuff and hopefully find something.
Your job to clean it up. We made the mess. We destroyed something. We destroyed your car. We destroyed your house, whatever. But we are not responsible because we made it. Because
we're allowed.
Okay, we were wrong. Yeah. So what? Yeah. To me, that's not good manners. Anyway, Zwigenhoff says that he doesn't understand why she's working for the guy. She knows how he feels about him, and facts don't matter to a guy like Zwigenhoff. And I guess his attitude is, as long as I don't like the guy, then everything I do is justified. And
you get the impression that even if he wasn't crooked, that's would have been how he would have responded.
Yeah. And so because he doesn't like the guy, Laura shouldn't like the guy, and he can badger her into whatever. But great police work there. Forget the facts, just operate on feelings and emotions and the fact that you don't like somebody. Anyway, as Wagenhoff is ranting, Steele cites convicted. John Ford, Broderick Crawford, Columbia, 1950. Ford plays an innocent man convicted of life imprisonment for a crime he didn't commit. And then an older officer, hearing Steele cite the movie, turns and adds, Ruth Roman played the dame, right? Oh, Dorothy Malone, actually, Steele corrects. The officer smiles and tells Steele, oh, yeah, I was in love with her, too.
This is cute. I like that exchange.
Well, Zwagenhoff gives the officer a really dark look and then scolds him with a simple statement of his name. To Laura and Steele, he asks, I take it you guys think Dowd is innocent. Arms crossed, Laura simply says, it's possible. Zwagenhoff tells Laura to come down to the station. He'll show her the case file, and he thinks that she'll change her mind. Cold tone in her voice and eyes, Laura declines. And Steele...
Here's my thought for this. Because we know that Zwagenhoff is the bad guy. So his offer to show them, one of them. His offer to show them the case file is obviously not on the level. However,
no, it probably is because
or you know what I mean. Like he's trying to dissuade them,
right?
But if he wasn't the bad guy, or even you would think it would be more information that they could use to piece things together, to at least in their benefit to look at what the police had on Vinny. Mm-hmm. To try to compare it with what they know. If I were Laura, I would have been like, yeah, okay, sure, let's go and have a look at the case file. Not, even if it just looks like they're playing ball, like they've done with Jarvis in the past, right? And there could be something in that case file that might help their own investigation. So it seems kind of odd to me that she basically just turns him down flat. I get that there wasn't enough time in the episode, and that's why they didn't do it, but
I think within the context of the episode, whatever happened in the past between Laura and Zwagenhoff,
it's enough to
so it galls her so much that she doesn't want to have. She doesn't even want to take that advantage.
That's fair.
Simply because she doesn't want to have anything to do with him. That's how much she detests
I'm wondering
the man.
Like, again, we don't know what happened, but in my mind, it would be something like he made a move, didn't take no for an answer, and she had to kick him somewhere, you know?
Could very well have been that. So I was just thinking that as you started down that path. But yeah.
Because he seems like that kind of guy.
Yes. Well, as she and Steele turn to leave, Zwagenhoff calls after them, warning them that he hopes that he catches up to Dowd before they do. And his voice is thick with snark as he suggests that he wouldn't want to be the guy to have to put them out of business. He likes them too much.
Ugh. Like, I just want to punch him too. Like, ugh.
And then as Laura exits the dining area, Steele follows, but pauses and then looks back at Zwagenhoff and tells him to lock up when he leaves.
Yeah.
That's a little sarcasm there from Remington. So
yeah.
good job, buddy.
Yep.
Back in the limo, Laura is surmising that someone must have followed Mildred and Vinny from the office. Steele doesn't disagree, but he points out that the question is, where are they right now? Well, the car phone rings and Steele grabs it, calling Mildred. As soon as he does, then he stutters out, "Oh, Francis." Laura panics, shaking her head, waving her arms, mouthing, "No!" All in a futile attempt to dissuade Steele from admitting her presence.
Oh no!
Steele, either wisely afraid to get between two sisters or stupidly forgetting to be afraid of the wrath of Laura, says, "Oh yeah, she's right here."
This is totally Steele not thinking straight and wanting to just torment Laura. He thinks it's, those times where he thinks it's funny and not realizing it's going to come to kick him in the ass later.
Or somewhere else. Anyway, Laura gives him a dirty look, takes a couple of seconds to try to get her irritation at Steele under control, and then speaks to Francis. And even though we don't hear Francis's side of the conversation, we see the expressions on Laura's face and hear the frustration in her voice as she tries to calm Francis, who is clearly distraught and angry. But Laura can't seem to get a word in edgewise.
Nope.
And finally, she says, "You got a call from a neighbor?" "Yes, well, no, it's not that bad. A couple thousand, maybe. 5,000 at the most. Look, Francis, I can't talk right now. I have to keep this line open."
Yeah.
And, of course, during the conversation, if it can be called that, she repeatedly rolls her eyes at Steele, who smirks as she listens. It's like, oh, man, you just
He's enjoying that way too much. So that was 100% intentional. For now, sure, yeah. If he plays his cards right, she might forget it later. But yeah, no, at this point.
Well, not going to be any hugs and kisses tonight.
No,
that's for sure.
No, there is not. No,
certainly nothing more than that. After she hangs up, she turns to Steele, prepared to read him the riot act for forcing her to deal with Francis under the present circumstances. Steele, who seems ready for her verbal assault, he's already got his hands up as if to block her verbal barrage. He begins to speak, but they're interrupted by the phone ringing a second time. This time, Laura picks up the phone, and assuming it's Francis calling again, but no, it's Mildred. Where are you? Where? And Laura's eyes grow wide. Panic? Dismay? Disbelief?
It is not good.
The limo turns into a large parking lot at a school bus yard. But as they're entering, a tow truck is exiting, towing an oddly familiar object.
Yeah, I had, where is it? Station wagon, which is barely a car.
Laura sits up, horrified at what she's seeing. Steele says that unless he's mistaken, that hunk of scrap metal was her sister's car. And Laura plops back into the seat and tells Steele that they better solve this case before their own one-man wrecking crew gets his hands on anything else. The limo pulls up beside a large building. Steele and Laura get out and then look around until they hear a whistle. They see Mildred and Vinny hiding between several of the buses. When Laura and Steele get to Mildred and Vinny immediately begins to apologize about Francis's car.
I panicked.
You panicked. Steele completes the apology.
Yeah.
And Vinny's surprised that Steele could guess. Laura demands to know what happened. Well, somebody tried to put our lights out, Mildred explains. And when Steele asks if they got to look at the guy, Mildred asks, are you kidding? Vinny and I were running for our lives. Suddenly, Mildred pulls her arms out and shoves Vinny back further behind the bus. Zwagenhoff has arrived, parks his car right next to the limo, and then steps over to speak to the Fred of the day.
So I'm wondering, does Fred of the day have instructions on how to deal with people asking about their comings and goings? And because sometimes there's a body in the trunk, sometimes they're doing crime or whatever it is. Does like Fred have a standard script that he has to repeat? Like
probably something along the lines of I don't know. I just drive the car.
I just drive the car. I just work here.
No, they've got the privacy glass up. I can't hear a thing. I can't see a thing. I don't know what's going on back there.
No idea.
Yep. Anyway, Laura says, oh, terrific. Vinny asks, well, what do we do now? Zwagenhoff, still by his car in the limo, is starting to look around. And not getting an answer, Vinny starts to panic, asking, so what do we do? Well, next we see a school bus traveling down the road. First we see a...
How did they get on that bus? How?
Which, of course, would never be allowed in real life unless they were the class parents for a class field trip. That's my next section of the notes there.
You don't have random adults onto your school bus. Like, that's not a thing you do.
Well, maybe they do. I mean, this is Los Angeles after all.
I know Vinny was a school bus driver, but he couldn't use his contacts because he's supposed to be imprisoned for life. So you would think that would be a red flag too.
Unless he's got a buddy who's willing to bend the rules for him for $1,000. But
maybe. But the staring contest between Steele and the kid is quite funny.
Yeah. So we see a girl sitting backward in a seat or kneeling backwards in a seat, staring, and she's staring at Remington, who is staring back at her.
He's kind of grinning.
Yes, our quartet has taken refuge in a bus full of school kids. Thinking out loud, Laura says that the whole thing just doesn't add up. Lance LeBlanc is kidnapped in broad daylight from right in front of his own gym. There are no witnesses. And 2 days later, the wife receives a note demanding the ransom be dropped in a phone booth at a busy intersection, where it's never picked up, Steele contributes. Meanwhile, no one hears from the kidnappers again, she concludes. And this triggers a thought from Mildred, who recounts that, according to the newspaper, the coroner had determined that Lance was already dead by the time the ransom note was delivered. And Steele, who is continuing to return the girl's stare, asks the girl what she thinks. And Laura considers the possibility that Lance was actually simply murdered, and the kidnapping was a ruse to hide the murder's real motive. Vinny, visibly upset at the idea, asks, "You mean I framed myself for kidnapping that never happened?"
Poor Vinny. I mean, I get, like, at the time, it seemed like
a good idea.
But now he's like, man, I'm in prison for a crime I didn't commit, and I didn't even need to. This
and worse,
really
it's the crime I didn't think I was framing myself for.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and then it gets worse because the girl who's been staring at Steele breaks eye contact, turns toward Vinny, and offers her assessment of the situation. What an idiot.
Yeah. Well, you can always count on kids to be honest, right?
Yes. Art Linkletter made a fortune out of that.
Yeah.
Vinny gives out with a pathetic groan and nod of affirmation. Well, then we see the bus stop and several kids get off, followed by our quartet. Vinny realizes that whoever did it must have thought that they had it made in the shade when he confessed.
Oh, yeah.
And he's probably quaking in his boots until Vinny is behind bars, Mildred adds. Or dead, Steele laments. Vinny's head snaps around to look at Steele, his face dropping at this gruesome analysis. Oh, yeah, a potential panic coming on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Laura quickly tells him not to panic. They may not have much to go on, but they're ahead of the game. She instructs Mildred to go back to the office and check Lance's insurance records for whomever might have benefited from Lance's untimely demise. And Steele tells Mildred that in the meantime, he and Laura are going to go pay a visit to one of Lance's closest friends. Well, we are at a very large mansion, and inside we see a middle-aged, or perhaps somewhat older than middle-aged woman in a sweatsuit, walking on a treadmill.
This is a weird outfit.
It is. It is just totally weird. I guess it's supposed to be a sweatsuit, like the sweat cabinets, only this allows you to sweat the fat off. It doesn't really do that while you're exercising on the treadmill or whatever.
Right, but she has to get Steele to unzip her, which leads me to wonder, how would she have gotten out of it if they weren't there?
Well, she's got staff.
Okay, well, okay. Yeah, I guess they're nowhere to be seen in this scene. So I was just like, when she says like, unzip me, I'm thinking, okay, well, how would you have gotten out otherwise?
Yes. Well, in a hurry, she would have been in trouble, but yeah, she's got staff to help her in and out. So yes. So she's in a sweatsuit, walking on a treadmill. It's Mrs. Tuttle, and she may or may not be related to the famous, or perhaps more correctly, infamous Captain Tuttle of the MASH 4077.
Oh, I didn't. The infamous Captain Tuttle. Yeah, good old Captain Tuttle. He's such a great guy, Captain Tuttle.
And for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, there was an episode where they invented a Captain Tuttle. Nobody ever saw him, but they were using his pay to help I think it was an orphanage, a Korean orphanage.
Yeah, they were.
And somebody got wise and they had to kill off Tuttle.
Yeah.
So they killed him off, got his insurance money, and then everybody is there. I think it was Henry Blake and a general and whatever, all there eulogizing Captain Tuttle. They all knew him. He was a great guy. What do you call it? That thing where you remember things that didn't happen? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, because you made a comment about this woman's age, so I was curious and I looked it up. And ouch, she's my age. She's 43.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. Right. Because.
Well, you carry it better than she did.
Here's the thing. I'm not going to say, because I don't disagree with you. I thought she was way older than me too, and I'm not saying that I am the perfect picture of youth, but okay.
Yeah.
She's 40. She was born in 19. I did the math. Ooh.
Yeah, she doesn't carry it as well.
You're right. She has this like aged look about her.
Mm-hmm. And when you look at her in some of the shots where it's fairly close up, I mean, it's obvious that she's hiding some of her age under makeup. So yeah.
And there's
anyway,
no fake up here. Just saying, look how.
Yes. Oh boy, that's embarrassing. Anyway,
she's 43.
She's telling Steele and Laura and Vinny, who's hiding behind dark glasses, that she doesn't know how she can be of any help. Lance LeBlanc was her coach. That's all. I mean, she really didn't know him that well.
Right.
And Steele challenges her statement, saying that according to their sources, Lance was more than just her coach. She steps off the treadmill, steps down, and then commands Steele to unzip her. Doesn't ask, commands.
Yeah. Just like, unzip me. Okay.
And then as he unzips her, revealing a woman who is somewhat shapely, despite the initial impression given by the suit, she declares that she doesn't have to talk to them. Ah, but you are, though, Steele states, adding the subtle warning. Why is that, I wonder? Laura goes the less subtle route, suggesting that perhaps they should speak to her husband about it. No, she responds sharply at Laura. Then to Steele, I always heard private detectives were sleazy. Steele moves behind Laura to grab Vinny by the arm. He informs Mrs. Tuttle that their distinguished colleague, Mr. Enrique, shoving Vinny to the front, is from south of the border, and he has an impeccable reputation.
Sure.
Ratcheting up the pressure, Laura reminds her that it's not Mr. Enrique's reputation that's on the line now, is it? And she was with Lance on the night he disappeared. Wasn't she, Mrs. Tuttle? And, of course, she frames it as a question, but it's not. It's a direct accusation.
It's not, yeah.
The woman shoves her way through them to her purse, sitting on a nearby table, demanding to know how much they want. Steele informs her that what they want is the truth. Grudgingly, she admits that, yes, she was with Lance that night, but she didn't have anything to do with the murder. Laura asks if her husband realized the extent to which she and Lance were working out.
Yeah.
She insists that he didn't, and that it was just a fling, both her and Lance. I mean, after all, he was never going to leave his wife. She was the brains behind the business. He wanted out, but he couldn't afford it. Laura asks where he was going the night that he left that evening. Mrs. Tuttle says she doesn't know. She just knows that he said that he had a problem that he needed to take care of. And to Laura, Steele says it might be prudent if they had another talk with Heather LeBlanc. And then to Mr. Enrique, he asks, don't you agree? And caught in mid-gulp of the drink he was drinking, Vinny quickly swallows and answers, see? Vinny. Didn't even try to make it sound, like he was speaking genuine Hispanic. He just, see? It's night at the LeBlanc gym. Inside, Laura, Steele, and Vinny are skulking around in the dark.
Now, I guess they didn't have time to go home and get Vinny some crime clothes because they're
Yes.
They're not in their crime clothes.
Nope. They're in their regular street clothes. Steele, having apparently picked the lock, which impressed Vinny, who asks Steele if he could teach him how to pick a lock like that. Laura shushes him as they continue to make their way through the facility, but even in the dark, something catches their attention. They close in to investigate. It's Heather LeBlanc, dead, pinned under a set of barbells. And just as Vinny says, "Holy Magnolia," Detective Zwigenhoff steps out of the dark, pistol out and aimed in the direction of the trio and corpse, and announces himself with, "Don't say I didn't warn you." Now Vinny panics. Of course he does. Yep. And he runs. And this is where another red flag should be going up. Zwigenhoff fires at Vinny once, twice, missing both times. He's got no cause to fire.
No, he doesn't. And to be fair, though,
do we have to be fair?
Not as...
It's Zwigenhoff. We don't have to be fair. We don't like the guy. You know how we feel about him.
And I'm also suddenly thinking of, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Letterkenny, probably not, but it's like a Canadian sitcom. It's quite vulgar in some ways, but like anytime the characters say "to be fair," the others chime in and they all go "to be fair, to be fair, to be fair." So that's what I was thinking when I said that. But to be fair, it's not as if there aren't actual real life situations in which the cops have fired at somebody that turned out to later be unarmed. That being said, no, you shouldn't be firing at a suspect at random. It is. Yeah, there's no evidence to indicate that Vinny has any weapon on him at all. So.
Yeah. Now, usually the police, in a split second of a situation, think that they are in danger from something that they visually interpret to be a weapon, which, often turns out not to be the case. But, it's one of those split second things. But this is a totally different situation. Vinny is turned. He is fleeing. He is not presenting any form of danger to Zwigenhoff. And basically, Zwagenhoff is trying to do the old bad guy from a Western type thing, shoot the guy in the back.
Yeah.
That's a hard one to defend under any circumstances.
Yeah.
So anyway, Zwagenhoff takes off in pursuit, but as he passes Steele, preparing to take another shot, Steele kicks up with his foot, hitting Zwagenhoff's arm, throwing off his aim. And angrily, and with just a tad too much pleasure, Zwagenhoff tells them that they're under arrest. Yeah. Well, next we see Mildred, Laura, and Steele walking out of police station? Court building?
Yeah, it looks like it. Police station.
I'm not sure, first of all, that they would have been able to get a court bail hearing at that night.
No.
And certainly not that much quickly. And then Mildred comments that Zwagenhoff really must have it in for Laura and Steele because the bail was pretty steep. Cops don't set bail. And as far as I know, really have no influence in bail calculations, except perhaps by the number and type of criminal charges that they manage to lodge against a suspect. So
well, sometimes if they have a rapport with a judge or something like that, they might be able to
influence them. But
yeah,
but again, that has to
yeah.
do as much with the type and number of criminal charges they file against the suspect, as well as any kind of background that they can present. I mean, a judge has to, in theory, although here in the last few years, we've seen a lot of judges ignore facts, ignore history of suspects, and just let people who have a history of violent crime and murder off with minimal or no bail, and just let them walk and say, okay, just promise you'll be back for the trial when it comes up. But usually they have to justify or be able to justify their bail decisions. So I think Mildred's comments are off. I think the walking out of the police station or court building this quickly after the events is off.
Steele managed to get an entire cast on his leg after falling down the elevator the same day. So
yeah,
I think we just need to hand wave this.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is a pretty big hand wave. I think this is both hands waving. Anyway, when Laura asks what Mildred dug up on Lance, she admits that there wasn't much to dig up. No life insurance. Most of his business holdings were in his wife's name. He had patents on his exercise equipment, copyrights on his diet programs, stuff like that. A lot of money, no debts. Laura rants in frustration that 2 people are dead. They've been arrested. Vinny's on the loose, and they have no suspects. When Steele asks if Mildred had any word from Vinny so far, the answer is no better than the previous news. Not a peep. Back at the Dowd house, Vinny drops back in. Literally, he drops in from the skylight he previously crashed through. And Nedra, dressed in a robe, comes running in from the bedroom. Excited, Vinny grabs her into a hug, picks her up, and then begins to twirl her around and tell her to pack her bags. When she asks where they're going, he tells her, Mexico!
Oh, Vinny.
And they kiss and hug, and Nedra doesn't seem quite as excited at the prospect as Vinny is.
No, poor Vinny.
It's still night, and we see the limo pull up in front of a seedy pool hall. But Laura isn't happy, insisting that they haven't got time for a game of 8-ball. Not addressing her concerns, Steele points out that Lance LeBlanc wanted to get out of his marriage, but that he couldn't divorce Heather because the very things that made him rich and famous were in her name. Miss Tuttle said that night he had left her to go off to solve this problem. Scowling, Laura tells him that she liked it better when he came up with old movie quotes to solve cases because right now she's not following him. Steele admits that he might be grasping at straws here, but he thinks Lance hired someone to kill his wife. Well, then how does Steele explain the fact that Lance was the one who ended up dead, she asks. Well, he can't. But if he had the same problem Lance did, he knows who he'd talk to. Well, inside, a rather scuzzy-looking gentleman, and I use the word in the most generous and accurate manner imaginable.
I was going to say that seems like a very loose term for this guy, but okay.
He's lining up a pool shot, and although we don't get his name used in dialogue of the episode, his name, according to the script, is Weasel.
Weasel, yeah. It is used once.
Is it?
Yeah, because I didn't see the script, and I had it down.
Okay.
I had his name down there somewhere, so they did actually mention his name at some point.
I missed it then. Anyway, when we see more of the pool hall, it's your typical TV pool hall. The air is hazy from the thick smoke of cigarettes.
Yeah.
The lighting is low and tinted because when it comes to making poor decisions at night in a bar, sometimes bear goggles aren't enough.
Yeah, that's true.
Steele makes his way through the crowd, comes up behind the man at the pool table, slaps the butt of the cue with his palm. The man looks up, perhaps ready to bust the head of the jerk who messed up his shot, but recognizes Steele and greets him enthusiastically. Before they get a chance to say anything, Laura comes up slowly. Weasel notices and, ignoring Steele's hand gesture to keep it down, asks, "You still hanging around with Mary Magdalene here?" Good line.
This isn't the same guy that they met in the junkyard, right? In that episode with Rocky Sullivan, where she was. Is it the same guy? I don't think it is.
That might.
I can't remember.
Be.
I can't remember. But, like, I don't remember if his name was Weasel or not. But that's kind of what I thought of, because, like, he seems to recognize and know Laura, so I can't remember what the guy's name was mentioned in that other episode.
Okay, Robert Pastorelli. Now you steal it. No, you don't. Yeah.
Was it him?
Same guy.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I remember something. Good for me.
Same guy. Yeah, it was. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it was a guy in the junkyard.
Yes. So anyway, before they get yes, Mary Magdalene, Laura informs Weasel that Cruella de Vil was busy.
I like that line. That was good.
And Weasel seems to find that amusing. He asks Steele what he can do Steele out of. Steele asks if he remembers a bodybuilder by the name of Lance LeBlanc. Weasel says he does and recounts the basics of the case. Steele says he thinks the guy may have put a hit out on his wife before he was killed. Mm-hmm. Distracted, not seemingly paying attention, Weasel says, "Nice guy." Laura, clearly not impressed with Weasel, says that they thought he might have heard something. "Nope," is the response, and Weasel walks around the table for another shot.
This is one of those times where Laura has to sit back and let Steele do his thing, because everything that she does here only makes him less likely to talk to them. Mm-hmm. It's not until Steele kind of like pays him, which is obviously what he's waiting for, that he gives up any information. And it feels like he does so reluctantly because he's annoyed that Laura's hearing it too.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's just annoyed by Laura.
Yeah. Well, because to be fair, like you would be too if somebody was standing there looking at you like you were scum on the bottom of their shoe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's basically what she's doing. And this is another reason why I'm like, she sticks out like a sore thumb in here, and not because she's dressed well, because he's always dressed well. Mm-hmm. She sticks out like a sore thumb because she sort of like comes across as
she's out of place.
Yeah. Like
her attitude, her perspective, her opinion of the people that are there.
Yeah. She makes it very obvious what she thinks of the mm-hmm. place and everybody around her, and it just doesn't do them any favors to do that. Mm-hmm. Like, you want to get information, you want to ingratiate yourself with the person you're speaking to. Steele knows how to mm-hmm. do that.
Yeah. And if she hadn't been there, Steele would have probably gotten more information more easily. Yeah, he would probably still had to pay Weasel, but
I think he still needed to pay for it,
but he would probably gotten more and gotten it more easily. Yeah. But anyway, Weasel walks around the table for another shot, making sure to force Laura to step back to let him through. And Laura, certain that Weasel is not being forthcoming, insists that he must have heard something. Dismissively, he says, "Hey, lady, it was a long time ago." And his use of the term lady is clearly not intended to be respectful.
No.
"Thank," Laura demands. Well, clearly, Laura is starting to get on his nerves. His tone is harsh as he fires back, "Hey, what's with you?" Then to Remington, "Is she always like this?" Steele, who has pulled out a wad of bills, tosses several into the corner pocket, points to them, and tells Weasel that's part of her charm. Weasel dips into the pocket, pulls out the bills, and shoves them into his pocket. And suddenly, he remembers that
it jogs his memory a little bit.
Something going around about that at the time. But when he doesn't continue, Laura looks at him, leans into the pool table, and shakes her head at him, saying, "Any names?" "Never are," he answers. He makes a move as to line up a shot, but Steele stops him with advice. 6 ball, corner pocket. Weasel lines up the shot, and the ball rolls into the pocket. Weasel remembers something else. Lance had a buddy, used to dabble in the area of artificial persuasion. He's never heard of the guy erasing anybody. That's Steele's term to prompt for a name, gesturing around to the side of his head with fingers for emphasis. The name Weasel gives him is Tony Petz. And annoyed at the entire situation, the local people, Weasel, Laura sternly tells Steele, let's go. She starts to walk off, but Steele stays and asks Weasel if he could take a shot. Laura notices that Steele isn't following, so she stops and starts waiting for him. Weasel hands Steele the cue. Steele chalks it up and then lines up on the 3 balls that are left on the table, all together near the side rail next to the center pocket. He takes a shot, sending 1 ball into the adjacent side pocket, 1 into the corner pocket on the same side, and 1 on the corner pocket on the other side, which knocks in a 4th ball in the process. He hands the cue back to Weasel and tells him, clean living does wonders, mate.
Yeah, Weasel looks kind of shocked, and Laura, the only part of her behavior in this scene that I do kind of like is the kiss that she blows him as they leave. That's kind of funny.
This reminds me of a story from the original Dick Van Dyke Show. There was an episode called Hustling the Hustler, and it involves Buddy Sorrell's black sheep brother coming back. And he was a pool hustler in a previous life. Well, Rob Petrie, Dick Van Dyke, has a pool table down in their basement, so they start playing pool. But he's smart. He's not gonna gamble with Blackie, the Buddy's brother,
right?
Because he doesn't do that. So they're gonna play for matchsticks. Except the matchsticks turn into dollars, and he winds up losing a lot of money, and the story goes on, and everything works out fine and resolves in the end. But at the end of the episode, he's wanting to play a game with Laura, but she wants to watch a TV show. And so she says, well, tell you what, if I can make this shot, can I go up and watch my TV show? He says, sure, fine. And so they've got this shot lined up for her to take. The original plan was for her to take the shot, probably miss it, guaranteed miss it. Then they would cut to a shot of the cue ball hitting and sending these other balls into the pockets as designed, but somebody else having taken the shot. So there's a cut there, so you didn't see that. Except that on the very first take, Mary Tyler Moore hit it perfect. All the balls went in. And so when you're watching the episode and she is astounded and Dick Van Dyke is just, those are genuine reactions because they absolutely did not anticipate that going that way.
That's funny.
It's very similar to this.
Yeah.
So
I like this scene. This is a good scene. And then I like the fact that they brought Weasel back because
I like him.
Yeah, I like him too.
Well, back at the Aerobatorium, Steele and Laura walk in on Tony Petz.
You said it right.
Walk in on Tony Petz doing a workout on a freestanding piece of equipment. Laura cuts straight to the chase. Laura, you got to learn a little bit of tact. Anyway, she says, let's talk about the contract Lance LeBlanc put out on his wife. Tony laughs, steps out of the stand, and then suddenly throws it back into Steele and Laura as he takes off on a run. And suddenly the lights go out. How? Who turned them off? It wasn't Tony Petz. He was nowhere near the light switch. So
I assumed it's whoever shot him.
Yeah, maybe, but to me, it just doesn't fit. Not yet. Anyway, Steele and Laura begin to slowly move through the dark, and then suddenly Tony is behind Steele, grabs him and throws him into the jungle rowing machine. In the process, Steele hits the button on the controls, causing the sound effects to come on. Laura is moving through the moonscape when there is a shot. Steele calls out to Laura just as another shot rings out. Laura runs to the door, out into the lobby, and then outside just in time to see a car racing away. But she can't do anything more, so she turns around and goes back inside. She once again enters the darkened workout area just as Steele has found the light switch. Well, Tony Petz is dead in Hawaii, or at least the Hawaii-themed workout area. 2 bullets in his chest. Next, we're at the office. Mildred is working on the computer when the phone rings. It's Vinny calling from the bus terminal, and he's wearing the worst cheesy fake mustache anybody's ever seen.
Is the because in my notes, Vinny has an exaggerated fake mustache, and I'm just like, oh man, if you're trying to avoid being seen, the last thing you want to do is put something on that is even more visible.
That's right,
dude. You've got like this Hawaiian shirt that could be seen from space, and now you've added a mustache. Like, no, that's
it's just it's a horrible fake mustache. It's like something he bought at a joke shop.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's wearing this cheap fake mustache, and Nedra is standing next to him. He tells Mildred that he's just calling to say goodbye. Well, Mildred doesn't understand, asking him where he's going. South of the border, he tells her. He says that Nedra tells him that they can live like kings down there. Well, Mildred tries to talk him out of it, telling him that they shouldn't go anywhere until he talks to Mr. Steele. Well, Vinny apologizes, but it's too late. Their bus leaves in 20 minutes. Tell Steele he said, nice try, and he'll send him a postcard.
Sweet, stupid Vinny.
Yes. And he hangs up, and he and Nedra walk away. And on the other end, Mildred is pounding on the phone, as if pounding on the phone will magically return Vinny to the other end of the phone and reconnect the call. Anyway, next we see a car driving the streets at night. It's Zwagenhoff. He gets a call on his radio. The voice on the radio reports that the tap on Steele's phone has paid off. Dowd is at the bus station, and they're on their way. Zwagenhoff tells the voice that he's right behind them, and then he orders that nobody makes a move until he gets there. He mounts his police strobe on the roof of his car, flips on his siren, and then goes flying. Back at the aerobatorium, Laura and Steele are going through the desk drawers and file cabinets, trying to find something to help them sort it all out. Laura is also trying to construct the sequence of events and the relationships between all the players, recounting that if Lance hired Tony to kill his wife, then who killed Lance? Well, the same person who killed Tony Petz, Steele suggests. Well, who killed Frank Dunn? Laura asks. Who killed Heather? Steele responds. Who's left? Laura wonders.
Yeah. I was thinking that too, because I couldn't remember who the criminal was when I rewatched this, because like I said, this is like this bonus episode that I forgot existed. Like, wait a minute. We're kind of, most of the people are dead. Who are we missing?
Well, while working on the filing cabinets, Steele notices a photo in a newspaper clipping that is framed and hanged on the wall. He calls out to Laura to look at it. As she steps over, Steele reads the caption, "Bodybuilder whips police into shape." Laura reads the second part of the caption. Detective Steve Zwagenhoff presents certificate of appreciation to Tony Petz. She is shocked, asking, Zwagenhoff knew Petz? Steele wonders what that means.
I gotta say, the names in this episode are all very bizarre. When you think about, like, you've got Nedra. Nedra is not a common name that you hear a lot. You've got Tony Petz, which is weird. You've got Zwagenhoff, like Weasel. It feels like they went
LeBlanc, even.
Yeah, they went the extra mile in coming up with the craziest names they could think of for these characters.
Yes. Well, I guess they wanted to avoid Smith and Jones and
true.
Laura says she doesn't know what it means, but the skin on the back of her neck is beginning to crawl.
Yeah.
Steele counters that something tells him that they'd better find Vinny before Zwagenhoff does. So they head out to find Vinny. We see Zwagenhoff racing to the bus depot in his car, and Laura and Steele are racing to apparently nowhere in particular in the limo.
I would assume the office, maybe, because they probably wanted to catch up with Mildred and see if she's heard. I don't know. That's
phone.
Yeah. I don't know.
Which is what happens. Laura's on the phone to Mildred trying to find out if there's been any contact from Vinny. I mean, it seems to me that they probably wouldn't want to be going much of anywhere until they knew where they were going. But anyway, when Laura gets the word that Vinny's at the bus depot, they direct Fred to the actual destination. When Zwagenhoff arrives, he's told by an officer that Vinny is inside, and Zwagenhoff tells the officer that he's going in alone. When the officer questions the instructions, Zwagenhoff lies, telling the other that Vinny is armed and dangerous, which, by the way, is a great title for an album, and it's a great album by a guy named Matthew Ward. So,
okay,
I'll just say it's great album, and a great title song too. Anyway, Zwagenhoff tells the other officer that he's going in alone because he doesn't want a bloodbath. Zwagenhoff goes inside and begins looking for Vinny. Laura and Steele arrive and head inside as well. Zwagenhoff spots Vinny playing a video game with Nedra standing next to him as he plays.
Like, he's just so innocent, Vinny. He's just such a, like I said, a sweet little cinnamon roll, because, like, he's on the run. He's a convicted felon. And he's playing an arcade game.
Yeah.
And kissing his wife, who he thinks loves him.
Well, that one you could understand, but
yeah, I know.
The video game is probably not a good choice.
No.
Anyway, Vinny and Nedra kiss, and Nedra moves away. Once Vinny is alone, so to speak, Zwagenhoff approaches and addresses Vinny by name, and then when Vinny looks up from his game, Zwagenhoff opens his jacket, showing his gun, and then tells Vinny to run. Well, Vinny, understandably, doesn't understand.
No.
Zwagenhoff, again, opens his jacket to expose the gun, and then with a growl in his voice, orders Vinny to run. When Vinny hesitates, Zwagenhoff pulls his gun and again orders Vinny to take off. Laura, Steele, and another officer enter the depot lobby area just in time to see all this happen. Steele hops over a barrier and rushes Zwagenhoff while Laura and the officer rush around the barrier. Steele grabs a sailor's loaded duffel bag from the floor as he passes it, hollers to get Zwagenhoff's attention, and then swings the duffel at him.
That must have felt real satisfying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Zwagenhoff goes down, tries to get up while shifting his gun's aim towards Steele, but Steele kicks the gun out of his hand. Then as Zwagenhoff again tries to get up, Steele punches him in the face, sending him down onto his back.
Again, satisfying.
Yes. Probably a little painful, but yes, satisfying.
Well, yeah, he does that thing where he's holding onto his hand afterwards, like, ouch, 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 ouch.
Laura rushes up with the other officer, telling him, "Here's your murderer, Sergeant." Well, the sergeant is surprised, as is Mildred, who also comes running up. Yeah. Steele tells her that it's a surprise to them, too. Mildred is still confused, telling Laura that he's not the guy that came after them at her sister's. Well, Laura doesn't understand, reminding Mildred that she said she didn't get a good look at him. Well, yeah, but it was a good enough look to know that that wasn't him, she insists. Steele expresses his confusion in a word, and Laura rhetorically asks, "You mean there are two people trying to stop Vinny?" And just as she says that, two more shots ring out, but these are from outside the depot. They rush out, accompanied by several officers. Outside, we see Vinny running. Then he dives into the open underside luggage compartment of a bus, followed by the man that we saw earlier shooting up the Piper home.
Yeah.
And he also dives into the luggage compartment of the bus, followed by Steele doing the same. And then we see Vinny crawling out of the other side as Laura rushes up to him on that side as well. What took Vinny so long to get through that luggage compartment?
Know.
And I mean, what were he and the other man and Steele doing in there all together at the same time? Playing cards?
No clue.
I mean,
yeah, maybe. Just chilling out and hanging. Who knows?
I mean, that's a 1 second slide from one side to the other. But no, Vinny's got to take his time. Anyway, Laura shoves the compartment door down, causing it to smack on the head of the other man as he's trying to come out. And then we see the other police officers come running up out of the depot. Vinny grabs Laura's hand and begins shaking it and thanking her. At the same time, Nedra arrives as the other police officers do. One of the officers opens the compartment door and Steele shoves the man out onto the ground. Vinny looks at the man and in surprise says, "Wolf."
Again,
Steele's
another weird
also
name.
Surprised. Yeah. Steele's also surprised. "You know him?" Vinny chuckles, saying, "Sure. It's his downstairs neighbors. What's he?"
Oh.
And then he pauses, realization slowly dawning on his face. He looks at Nedra, who shrugs and gives him a sad smile and apologizes. Vinny can't believe it. Her and Wolf? Steele realizes that Nedra knew that if Vinny cleared himself, she'd have to give back the money. Nedra pragmatically says, well, she figured she could always get another husband, or where could she get another $250,000?
I hate this woman. I really, really hate this woman because Vinny, poor sweet Vinny, like he's just.
But Vinny, I mean, he's actually understanding, far more understanding than one might expect. Certainly,
well, I think
far more understanding than most people would be. He admits, well, you know, she has a point.
I think it's probably because he probably has such little self-esteem. Like he probably thinks so little of himself that. To him, it's like, well, yeah, I guess you're right. $250,000 is better than a. Like, I just
she
feel
can,
so.
She can definitely do better than me. That's for sure. Yeah.
This poor guy goes through literally hell to make sure that she's provided for after his death, and then
misuse of the word literal, folks.
It doesn't sound as good saying he went through figurative hell. Okay. But he did. He goes through hell to make sure that she's provided for. He frames himself for a crime he didn't commit, which to
take care of her.
Yeah, to take care of her, which means that even if he had died, he would have spent his last days in a prison, not surrounded by people who care about him. And he does this all for her, and then she just, I hate her. I hate her. I hate her. I hate her.
Well, and he's still doing it for her. He's sympathizing with her and
I know,
understanding
Vinny.
her decision. I mean, it's
poor Vinny. Like he loved her, and he obviously doesn't think as much about himself, like that he's worthy enough to be worth more than $250,000. And I just want to hug him. I wanted to kill Bing. I want to hug Vinny. That's where we're at. You know. Anyway.
Well, now we have a time jump, and now we are in the offices where Laura and Steele are explaining to Mildred that it's really all very simple once she gets the players straight.
Yeah.
And yes, I love the sweater.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got literally in my notes. Okay, I wrote back at the office, Laura is wearing that sweater Eric likes that she wore in Ireland.
Well, they explained to Mildred that Lance LeBlanc hired Tony Petz to kill his wife. Tony took the money, but found that he couldn't carry out the deed. So Tony hired his pal Zwagenhoff to kill Heather, only Zwagenhoff fell in love with her. On the night that Zwagenhoff was supposed to kill Heather, Lance surprised them by coming home early. There was a fight, and Zwagenhoff killed him. That's when Heather and Zwagenhoff concocted the kidnapping plan to cover up the murder. They concluded that it would have worked, too, if it hadn't been for Vinny. During the explanation, though, Mildred seems distracted.
Yeah, she's wandering around and looking
more. She seems to get more distracted as the explanation progresses, eventually getting up and beginning to slowly walk around, looking down as if she's looking for something or she's lost. And at the end of the explanation, Steele, in a somewhat offended tone, says that Mildred doesn't seem to be interested in their explanation or appreciative of their efforts to clarify it all to her. Oh, no, she is, she insists. It's just that Phyllis has gone AWOL. Phyllis? Steele asks. The turtle, Laura reminds him. Mildred grabs her chin in contemplation, wondering if maybe she shouldn't have gotten her a leash.
How would you leash a turtle? How would you leash a turtle?
How would you get a leash that even fit a turtle?
That's my point. Like, what would you do? Tie string around its little neck? Like,
yes. Well, just then, Vinny bursts through the front doors into reception, excitedly calling out, "Hey guys, guess what?"
Oh,
but he slips, and there's the sound of a crunch underfoot.
Phyllis, R.I.P. We barely knew ye.
Laura looks toward the source of the sound, horrified. Mildred looks shocked. Steele looks perplexed. Vinny also looks down toward the source of the sound, then looks back toward our trio as they groan. And we freeze.
Phyllis the second, R.I.P.
Soon to be replaced by Phyllis the third.
I was going to say, one has to think that they went that day to another pet store to find another turtle.
Hopefully they get a Phyllis and not a Phil.
Yeah, but this is my point. Like, what if they had picked up a different...
Yes.
Anyway. Although I don't know how you would tell the difference between a male turtle and a female turtle, and I really don't feel inclined to look. So,
allow me to buy you a book.
Certain things should remain a mystery, is all I'm saying.
Anything else? Any additional comments?
No, I mean, this, like I said, this is a bizarre episode for me because I hadn't seen it until I got my hands on the DVDs, and so I always see it as sort of like a bonus. It's not the best episode ever. I think the last couple of episodes of this season, heading towards Bonds, were, they're okay.
It's a decent episode. It's not great.
Yeah, compared to some of the others in this season. Like, unfortunately, when you're comparing it to something like Sensitive Steel or Premium or some of the other really, really good, strong episodes of this season, it comes out a little bit meh. But there's some good moments in it. I enjoyed it.
Well, your comment about it being a bonus episode for you because you hadn't seen it, and it was like, as you were saying that earlier, it reminded me, and I didn't say anything about it at the time, but I guess I'll go ahead and throw it in here now. There was, sometimes I have. I don't dream real often. I know what people say. Yes, you do. You just don't remember them. But no, when I dream, I wake up. It ruins my night's sleep. So I usually know when I dream. And when I do this, they're usually very bizarre and thematic about a theme that I don't want to get into. But occasionally I have these dreams that I remember them not as dreams, but as actual memories of events. And for years and years and years, I remembered seeing a Star Trek episode that I could not identify. It was nowhere,
Oh no.
nowhere in any of the series. And it had to have been a dream. Because I've gone,
Yeah.
I know the entire original series, and there is no
Yeah.
episode that fit what I remember in this dream. And so that was kind of like a bonus episode for me too.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
So anyway, so if we don't have anything else, website, SteeleWatching.com. We got show notes. We will list Convicted, but we don't have a link for it. There does not seem to be.
Laura does reference herself as Cruella de Vil, so you could put 101 Dalmatians on there.
Okay, fine. Okay. Hang on. Let me add it real quick. 101 Dalmatians. Okay, so we'll get that one in there. But yeah, we won't have a link to Convicted with John Ford and Broderick Crawford because it doesn't seem to be available in the Region 1 North American market.
Right.
Now, if you happen to have a player that will handle Region 2 European, there
Cheap
are
DVD players.
there are some copies of that on Amazon, but since most people don't really have the ability to play
I think you'd
that,
be surprised. Again, this is something that we found out kind of the hard way because we were specifically buying multi-region players, and then we found out through a friend who told us that basically, like, if it's cheap enough, if the DVD player is cheap enough, the likelihood that they would have even put those protections on it are low. And you're probably going to be able to get away with it, or a Blu-ray player will do it. Usually.
No.
Or ours does.
No.
Ours will play.
Blu-ray players are both region encoded for Blu-rays and DVDs.
Ours definitely plays both Scott's British DVDs and my American DVDs. So, like, again, if it's a cheap enough Blu-ray player, it'll play it. There are also ones where, and you can look it up, but you can look up hacks to literally hack your DVD players and get them to play. Because this is something that we've had to care about because Scott brought his entire DVD collection from the UK. And so it's either like we find a expensive multi-region player or we hack into or find a cheap enough DVD player that it plays all the stuff.
Yeah, because the actual content is still there and accessible.
Yeah.
If you can get past the gatekeepers. Yep. And basically what it is it's like somebody standing at a door to a restaurant saying, you got some ID?
I don't like your shoes.
No,
you're not coming
a member of this club, so you can't come in.
Yeah.
But if you can get around the guy, you can eat. Well, it's the same with the DVDs and Blu-rays. If you can get around the encoding, the encoding is there just deliberately to keep you from accessing the content unless you can pass the test. But if you can get around the test, it's all there to watch.
Anyway, the next episode is the one we've all been waiting for.
You forgot. In addition to all the stuff on the website for show notes and such, we've also got...
Yes, we have the Facebook page, the Twitter, and the Instagram page, along with the officially unofficial Steel Watchers Facebook fan group, which is not our official group. We don't own it or run it, but we are a part of it, and we encourage everybody else to become a part of it as well, because there is lots of fun discussions, and usually leading up to an episode, people will start putting up clips and creating discussion, and it's just fun. So come and join us.
Well, the next one is a somewhat
fan favorite. A reverent joy. In the episode we've all been waiting for.
The sarcasm drips from your fangs.
Bonds of steel.
Yes. All right. Well, it will be there.
On that note.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.